kind of settle down, you can't win the race unless you're there at the end. So you right now need to stay the competitors as close as they can to the front in order to be able to actually fight at the end of the race, but also stay out of trouble. So we're not seeing a lot of movement. Everybody's just settling out a little bit.
You can see there's 3 drivers who are kind of ahead. We have Esmeralda, Van der Naald, Hayward, as well as Collins. We're in Collins' eyes, and she's trying to make a move.
Late on the brakes, wasn't enough to make that pass stick, but again, at this stage of the race, it doesn't matter. She needs to just stay as close to this lead pack as she can. As long as she's not being held up, it's not going to affect her. Now, if she feels that she is being held up by Olivia Hayward right there in front of her in the number 72, then she could get frustrated. So now already lapping one of the other cars. So have to stay smart, you know? That's what they've talked about it. They discussed it amongst themselves, staying off of the racing line when they're going a lap down, and that was very clean. This is good racing so far.
Yeah, very clean for our top pack and also our stragglers, as we mentioned. And in iRacing, it does feel like we can customize our cars, and our drivers were able to customize. And I know you asked for the car's look, because it's important as a caster to know who's racing what, especially when we're looking at these cameras.
The cars are all the same. They have all the same settings. The racers were not allowed to customize any of the setups themselves. That's part of what keeps it fair. But they were allowed to pick their livery. Now, they had limited selections. You're going to see that a lot of them look the same in terms of color and their package. A little close there, but everybody, look, see,
clean,
so respectful.
Clean, yep.
Everybody was able to pick their color scheme to a certain degree, but again, this is a sponsored event. You've got to see Pennzoil, just like real life. You got to see Ford. You want to see Yahoo. There's the Esports. I love the purple wheels that Olivia picked, the Yahoo purple. You know, they had those color profiles to pick from.
It's kind of great to be able to do that. And as you can see, there's going to be a couple of cars here trying to win some spots, and we have our first kind of contact here.
That was a little bit of contact, and you see Olivia Hayward fell from 2nd back to 5th, now on the brink of being taken out of that top 5, which now is crucial.
Yeah, it is crucial. But if you take a look at the standings on the left, Ward is 12 seconds behind the leader, so she's still
on that lead lap.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, we had 4 cars there in the corner all at the same time. That's how quickly it can change. So 12 seconds with 7 laps to go that's not a lot, right? Not right now.
That's good to know. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is the first qualifying round for a chance of $15,000 and more prizes. We're playing for high stakes here.
Callie Bajent getting a little bit of just clean air all around her. No pressure behind, able to settle down a little bit. Doesn't need to be super aggressive to get up there right now to Garnet Collins. She's in the top 5.
Yeah, and Van der Naald keeping the lead. She started first in the grid, and she's still first. As I called out, she was 9th in the qualifying round, so to get to this event. So this is pretty great to see that.
Was that Olivia Hayward that just went off? Maybe it was another lap car. Yes, it was not Olivia. It was Alex B. Who went off back in 9th place right now, 2 laps down.
We're going to take a look at that replay, if I'm not mistaken, of what just happened.
This is from Martina Ward's onboard. You see Alex B right in front of her.
Oh, it might not have been a replay.
No, Martina got, no, they're still side by side, so she has not made that pass.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is, oh, there it was.
Yeah, there it
so
is.
that was the replay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great replay.
And Alex B was just having a hard time getting back onto the surface without, the racing surface, without getting anybody's way. She did not influence any other drivers.
Oh. Another contact here. That does, I do believe that's Olivia.
This is another replay.
Oh, that's a replay. Yeah. Okay, that's when Olivia
that's where she
fell to 5th spot.
Yes.
Okay.
So that gets us back to where we are right now. This battle heating up.
And the leading pack is really getting ahead of Ward here. She is in 6th position. Remember, she was our top competitor to get here. So
a lap ago it was 12 seconds. This time it was just at 22 seconds, I believe is what it said. So we have our top 5 all within 6 seconds of each other right now, which is pretty respectful. You think about how close that is.
Yeah.
On a racetrack in sim rigs that they've never raced on until today.
So far, it's a very clean race, considering, you know, the amount of time they were able to practice on that rig.
Board with Olivia Hayward. Back in 5th place, seeing the action in front, not close enough to really put any pressure, but doesn't have any pressure behind either. So what at this point she's able to do is use this as like a high pressure practice session. How do I get closer? You know, when it counts in this finale later on, what is the best line to catch up to that lead pack? And you can see she's closing that gap a little bit now. It's down to 4.9 seconds. It was 5.9 seconds. So she's closed a full second to the 4 cars that are in front of her.
And as we have only 4 laps to go, my question is, she knows in what position she is. And she knows where everyone is in position. And because the standings of this race don't count in the final lead, maybe she just wants to kind of drive and not get into an accident.
See how close, how quickly these things can change. So we were on board with Olivia Hayward. I believe
Gibson.
Was that Gibson that was
Roxy,
in front of her?
Yeah,
okay.
Roxy and Collins.
Now they were a lap ahead of 6th place, so the gap is now closing down a little bit, but they certainly don't want to finish out this last 3 laps with any damage, because there is no going back to the garage.
Yeah,
that is one of the things to keep these 12 laps fair and to keep the race going. Just like in real life, you've got damage on your car, you've got to deal with it. You've got to race through it. Hopefully, the damage isn't insurmountable. Can stay within these top 5. That. It is closing down, though, now. It was a 52-second gap, and now it's down to 40. So let's take a look at what happens. Yeah, this is Alex B.
Oh, Alex B lost control.
She lost control, and it was just as quick as that. That's racing. You know, we've mentioned Haley Deegan in the trucks race last night. Had a very similar situation. We can talk to her about that later and how you deal with that mentally as a racer. You know, they don't have helmets on, but when you're in the car, you've got your helmet on, and you just got to take a deep breath, and, you know, sometimes you just can't do anything about it. Tough luck.
And 2 laps to go here. Our top 5 is pretty stable, and as I was trying to mention, let's gamify this, right?
Yes, gamify it for me.
Yeah, so it's a little different than a real race, because at that point, they just need to make it in the top 5. Yes. They can get another qualifying round for another grid later. So if I'm them, I just cruise. I just chill, secure my top 5, and I don't try to pass anyone.
You don't get anything for winning the heat race.
Exactly.
There are no prizes awarded. The top 5 get to move on to the finale. That's what I was saying. Now use this time to figure out the car and traffic. Use the time to figure out the racing dynamic, because they didn't have that during the qualifiers, and make the most of the rest of this.
For the first time in the final lap, we do have...
Callie Bajan has moved into the lead.
Exactly. We do have a new leader of this race. This is getting exciting.
I mean, imagine if this was the finale and she makes that pass on the very last lap.
Great. This is
for $15,000 and a test in a real race car.
This is risky, but it paid off for now.
But that's something now. She has that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to take this experience as the checkered flag has come out. We have our top 5. Callie Bajan leading Heat 1.
Leading Heat 1. And the big surprise, I would say here, coming off of that first heat, is obviously Martina Ward, who unfortunately, even though she was in the top 15 in the world's qualifying for this event, is not going to make it to the grand final.
Not in the top 15. At the top of the top 15. She led the 15 into Las Vegas.
And so that's probably really heartbreaking. Let's take a look at it. We have our top cars, our top driver, Kaylee Bajent, Esmeralda Van Delnard, Garnet Collins, Olivia Hayward, and Roxy Gibbon are going to make it to the next round. Doesn't mean we say goodbye to
we say goodbye to Martina Ward, Ariel Powers, Sunny Trin, and Alex B.
Alex B. And all of them gain a lot of experience, I'm sure.
Yes.
This is a very, very, I want to say, no matter what, even if you've never played this before, I'm sure everyone that didn't make it to the next round is probably a little bit disappointed.
I mean, look, they were sitting at home back in December. They signed on to iRacing. They went to screentospeed.com. They followed on the social channels. They put themselves out there to compete in these races. They qualified. They got an all expenses paid trip to Las Vegas. They've been here for several days. They got to come to the NASCAR weekend. Tomorrow, they're still going to be guests of Pennzoil. They're going to go to the suite. They're going to watch the Pennzoil 400. Even though they're going home tonight, there's so much to take from this experience.
Yeah, and I want to mention we're going to do a off the screen little race with the people that couldn't qualify for the final. So we'll have a top 20, a real top 20.
Yes.
It's not gonna, that part is not going to be streamed, but so they're going to be able to race again, just not for a shot at the grand prize, which is very disappointing.
Well, because these rigs are all set up. You can't just tear them down and nobody gets to play.
It
right.
took days to set that up. Can't just play for 10 minutes. But this does mean that we have our first top 5. This is, I'm already a little bit like nostalgic. This is amazing.
No, and I love what's about to happen because Sabre Cook, we introduced her earlier. She has been the coach for all of these women through this process. She will be their coach for the winner who gets the test with Kelly Moss Racing. She's used to being interviewed. We get to throw it to her. She is going to interview her first winner. So let's get over to Sabre.
Hi guys, I am here with Callie. She did amazing. Could you tell us what was your biggest challenge there?
Traffic.
Traffic, and who do you think is going to be your biggest competition going into the final?
Esmeralda.
100%?
95?
95?
Yeah, I'd say 95.
What about the other group? Who do you think?
My money on people in Heat 2 who will make it will be the likes of Christina Ryan, Emily Howe, Athena Leclerc. They're fast, and they're faster than me. They're going to make it, and they're going to really make me work for it.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. You did amazing. You kept your head cool, even though there was lots going on in there. You came out on top, took the lead in the final laps. Amazing, amazing job.
Thank you. It was incredible. I got to try to do it again now.
Absolutely. I think you can. Do you have any advice for everyone else that didn't make it through?
Bad luck. A lot of it's bad luck. And that's how it goes.
That's racing, isn't it?
That's racing.
All right. Well, awesome job to Callie. We'll send it back to you guys at the desk, and we are coming with the next group of players.
I think one of the most important things that Callie said there was the very first word out of her mouth was traffic. Just simply traffic. We talked about it. When they started qualifying for these races back in December, it was single car at home on their comfortable rigs, just trying to get the lap time. Now they're out there with other competitors, and that's what they have to deal with.
Yeah, so far it's been an incredible first heat. And it's not over because we do have more coming up. But before we do have, as people are clapping, as the other drivers are clapping, as if you can hear it in the background, we do have another giveaway from Pennzoil. And
the yellow bucket?
Yeah, it's yellow bucket time.
Yes.
So to everyone at home who became an ally on screentospeed.com,
we thank you.
We thank you. And we get to give you a little bit of a gift.
Send something home with you. All right. This one goes to Austin Hawkins.
Congratulations.
So congratulations.
Austin.
Thank you for registering. You're going to get a swag pack, same swag pack that all of the competitors got when they got here this weekend. I got one. It's where this fancy yellow shirt came from. Yes. So thank you for registering as an ally.
Absolutely. And, you know, we have 10 rigs here. And between both heats, we do have a little bit of a moment where our racer or driver are going to be swapping. And so that means we need a little bit of time to get that going. So before we get into Heat 2, we're going to go into a quick break for these new drivers to get in. And then we'll be back with more iRacing and screen to speed action in a little bit.
Sim racing and just getting into real life racing. Cars, licenses, equipment, that's tens of thousands of dollars. And even more so, the barriers of just social barriers when you're a woman or when you're trans or gender nonconforming. When I came out as trans 2 years ago and started transitioning, I thought that I would be alone on an island and that basically all my prospects in the future within sim racing would dry up. But Prismatic Motorsports was formed last year, which is a sim racing team for gender nonconforming and trans people. And so through Prismatic, as an owner of Prismatic, we've been able to gather over 100 people within our community and have 16 drivers in our roster. And we now compete, and we're visible, and now we're able to showcase our talent as trans people and to be able to break those barriers down collectively.
My passion is racing, is sim racing, and especially help to get women involved, people with a disability involved, and to help them and show them that you can achieve everything as long as you believe in it.
Welcome back to the first event of Screen to Speed. My name is Miss RV, and I'm joined with Jamie Howe. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. That first heat was certainly exciting. I feel like we've got the nerves out a little bit for us. Anyway, we've got a whole other heat of 10 women that are about to come out and try and qualify for this finale that we have coming up in just a little bit.
And we had our first heat, and you mentioned, so we have our top 5 racer who are gonna be competing for a crazy prize provided by all of our partners. We're talking $15,000, a brand new home rig. Get to try out for Kelly Moss's racing team and more. It's about, I would say, a $50,000 grand prize.
I think it's a little bit more than that. If you total everything up, plus some of these things you can't get on your own. So this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Absolutely, and it's winner take all.
Yes.
Okay, so the stakes are very high.
What did you learn about racing? What's the line?
What's the line? Oh, go smooth?
No. About winning.
Oh, no, it's you either win or you lose?
If you ain't first, you're last. You've got to say it like that.
Okay, with the little accent. If you ain't first, you're last.
Thank you.
I learned a lot about racing today, so, I'm like a sponge. We did lose a couple of our contestants today. We lost 4 players out of the 9 that were in each one. Let's take a look at the replays of what happened. There were a little bit of, I want to say, collisions, a little bit of stragglers, but overall it was a clean race.
Yes, and we learned from Callie, our Heat 1 winner, that traffic is what played the part tonight. Now, Esmeralda led all but that last lap.
And that was incredible because, we mentioned how you make it to top 5. It's a whole new race after the finale. You don't need to win this race, but we needed to make a statement here.
That one incident that you just saw with Martina Ward, she finished 6th, and that's really what separated that front 5 from the back 4. So that was a big pivotal point in Heat 1.
Yeah, and Ward is the only qualifying participant to not make it to the finale from this first heat wave. So that's probably heartbreaking.
Look at Aerial Powers high-fiving every competitor, even though she sadly will not be racing in the finale later tonight. She was still here for a good time, and by the smile on her face, I would say that she had one.
Yeah, we do have a mix of, I want to say, professional sim racer, right? Even though it's a beginning of the women and non-binary people in the community. For today, it's as professional as it can get. They have provided the amazing gears here.
Yep.
We're live on a NASCAR event on racetrack, the Pennzoil 400. It is quite unbelievable to be here.
There's so much fanfare around this event, and you think about all of the people who have been coming out here for the trucks race last night, the Xfinity race this afternoon. They'll be here for the Cup race tomorrow. All of those fans are also getting exposed to what Screen to Speed is doing here this weekend. So there's so many eyeballs, not just on the online world, but also in person. That's what makes this event so special. It is bridging the gap between what happens on the screen and putting it into real life with actual speed.
And a lot of it couldn't be possible without our partners. There's ton of them that we're going to be talking about today, but one in particular, you can get at home a 5% discount on anything on their store, and the QR code is
I glanced,
right here.
it's down there. Yes.
This time I can actually point at it.
Get your phone out, take a picture of it.
And Next Level Racing, they are one of our partners. They're providing all of the sims here. We have 10 of them, and we mentioned how racing can be a really expensive sport to get into, but sim racing can also be expensive. So you can have a $1,000 rig, but you can have $100,000 rig. And this weekend, we have $15,000 rigs for each of the players.
Yep, these $15,000 rigs they're beautiful. And when I got here yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon, I walked through and everybody was sitting here, all 19 competitors, everybody behind the scenes was getting set up. These were still sitting in boxes. I couldn't believe walking in this morning, and there are 10 beautiful racing rigs set up and ready to go.
You think it's difficult to create a LAN environment for gaming? Imagine creating a sim racing gaming event when your rig takes hours
in the middle of a racetrack. A real racetrack.
in the middle
Yes.
of a racetrack. So it's quite incredible that we were able to get on time. We're learning as we go. As we mentioned, this is the first time we're doing this. And it's the first for everyone here, from the production to us to the racer, the drivers. It's their first time.
All right.
And we're ready to have our
Let's
second
get Heat 2 out
Heat
here. All right.
walk out. And
Here
we're
they
going to
come.
see our players from Heat number 2 as we get ready into it. Oh, there they are. We do have Hells, Atina, Hamish, Chrissy, Jewel, Ruby, Alugobi, as well as Emily. We do have Searshaw as well as Eris. Ay, ay, ay. What a beautiful
I saw
lineup.
some nerves walking out. Did you see that?
No, I was focused on pronouncing their
No.
name properly.
So Els walked out first. She had a beautiful smile on her face, ready to go, confidence, head held high. You watched the other 9 walk out. I saw some nerves.
Ooh, do you think it was fierce looks?
Ooh, fierce. Yes, there's some fierceness out here for sure, but I don't know. They're all getting seated. We get to see, so you guys can't see our view, but we can see them all sitting down right now in their rigs, getting comfortable, making sure the seats are in the right positions. The pedals are ready to go. Everybody's getting, shaking out the shoulders, getting ready. This is who we're gonna have in heat number 2. You just saw Els mentioned she walked out first. Athena Leclerc, two-time eNASCAR College iRacing Series. This was something I did not know about esports. I did not know that colleges had esports teams.
Yeah, so a lot of the colleges in North America are picking up esports team, esports program. Colleges need to lure in as many students as they can. But not only that, it creates an environment for extra curriculum for people who don't really get involved in sports or arts and want to have a community. So congrats to these colleges who are making a difference in esports.
We have Hamish, finished 4th in class. Some of the racing, you'll see some of their racing accolades on the side of your screen, the DRL EU Season 10. Not on iRacing, but in esports for sure.
Yeah, we do have a few, I would say, prominent games, but iRacing being the most, I would say, famous, the most played, I would say, and the most user-friendly for newcomers to start in. Take a look at iRacing. This is what we're playing today.
Christina Ryan, another one of the college students that competes, 7 eNASCAR starts. Now, a note about Christina that is not on this card is she was the one who won the practice race about a week and a half ago. So that traffic that we heard Callie talk about, Christina was able to figure it out before anybody else, win that pre-race. See if that all applies to tonight.
In that heat number 2, we have to talk about how competitive it is as we take a look at Jewel, Wolf. A little bit less experience in sim racing. She did teach herself how to drive on racing sims, and that can be challenging, but that's doable. Unlike real life motorsports, honestly, it's probably a lot harder. But it is a very competitive heat. Only one player didn't qualify through the leaderboards, and that's Els that we saw at the top. Everybody else was in the top 15.
Yes, Ruby Acosta. She led early on in the qualifiers. Certainly, obviously made it out here into the top 15. So, been a fierce competitor, one of the first competitors to sign up and been in the mix the whole time.
Yeah, and we do have Lugobi also from Canada. We have a couple of Canadians in this tournament. In this heat, we have 2. We already saw Leclerc a little bit earlier. But it is really important to talk about each of the individual people's achievements here because it matters. Very little experience matters today because a lot of them have no experience.
Right. Emily Howe, another one of the competitors, 2019 Daytona 500 Open winner. That applies everything here that's happening at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So similar car type perhaps, and some experience there. Engineer and strategist for Christina Ryan's eNASCAR College Series races as well, which again, that's an aspect of real life motorsports that I had no idea translates into esports. So I think that, just the broad array of jobs, of opportunities that are out there, just to be involved, I think it's fantastic.
And Saoirse Fitzpatrick, our only Ireland representative here. I love her look.
I know,
I'm not gonna
you've
lie.
talked
I
about it
talk
all
about it
day.
all day. When she walks, she has a driver look, and
Yes.
she mentioned that it was on purpose. And with
Yeah.
her name Fitzpatrick, I think she's
We'll call it driver swag.
she
Yeah.
has the driver swag.
Yeah.
She's due to be a star.
Yes.
And then we do have with us right now Eris, like a universal person. She's originally from the UK and currently lives in the US. And she's my twin sister of hair looks.
Yes. Yes. You have a little bit of different shades of pink, but I love the look nonetheless.
Yeah, and they finished. Oh, we lost that video, but here we have them in
This-
the racetrack
This is
or
the practice.
practicing
Yes,
as well,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Yes, if you remember, we have 10 sims, so we have drivers that are sharing the sim, so they do get another practice session in addition to the practice that they did receive earlier today, just to make sure everything still feels comfortable, make sure, you know, the wheel's still turning the way they remember it, the pedals still require the same amount of pressure that they required earlier today, just make sure that it stays fair for everyone as we get ready for Heat 2.
I honestly, being a competitor in a different esports genre, I could not imagine practicing thousands of hours at home, because some of these ladies, some of these drivers played this race at home thousands of times, coming into a tournament, different settings, different tools, different rig, and having to compete. That must be so stressful, because you're so used to even the height of your desk and everything, right? And all of a sudden you take all of that away and we tell you adjust and adapt within an hour.
I'm looking around the room right now because I'm looking for Sabra. I don't know where. Is she helping a competitor? I don't see her out on the floor. I wanted to ask her a question, though, because I imagine, I know this from other forms of motorsports. I wanted to get her take with her experience, though. As a racing driver, she's competed in the W Series. She's competed in other driver shootout programs. She's gone for scholarships. So she's been in and out of cars in various situations. And some of the discomforts that these competitors are dealing with, I think that she's had to deal with in a real life application with herself in the physical race car, going around the racetrack at a very high level of speed. So I think that there is a tie, but we're gonna get her take on that in a little bit.
Yeah, and as we have more and more events like these, this is gonna be about, yes, whoever can qualify, whoever can drive the best on the day of, but also honestly whoever can adapt from events to events. Hopefully at one point we have a circuit, we got our points and whatnot, different rigs, different sponsors, and the goal here is to have everyone partner together to really find these gems, these drivers, these women competitor who can make it to the top and really make a career out of this, because that's the end goal, right? Is elevating the motorsports space in the iRacing and the sim space with initiatives like Screen to Speed for these ladies, these competitors, to really make a difference in the space.
Now, as practice is continuing, we saw Emily Howe as one of our drivers that we have in this Heat 2 of competition tonight. Earlier today, she sat down with our production team. Let's see what she had to say.
Emily Howe, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm here to win. Screen to Speed is a competition that allows women in esports to get a shot in the real world and to showcase our talents in a first-of-its-kind competition here in Vegas. I've been sim racing since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I started just, my dad had a sim at home, he had a couple sim games and a joystick, and I started playing it and just kind of fell in love with it, and so I've been doing it since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. The goal is to keep doing stuff like this. I mean, 2 years ago, a year ago, this was never even on the radar. It's not even a possibility. And here I am in Vegas, you know, being the star of a show, and it's just insane to me. So just continue onwards and upwards, wherever it takes me. It means everything. This is like the spotlight. This is the first time I've been in the spotlight, really be able to be the star and really showcase everything I have and to be on this big stage, you know. Like, it's so massive, you know. We've got people from Fox, people from NASCAR, people from, you know, every walk involved to to see all 20 of us, and it's insane. It would be life-changing. I mean, not only the money, but the chance to drive a real race car and get my foot in that door and just see where that takes me, you know? It's hard to imagine, you know, these pipe dreams ever coming to reality. You always kick yourself and say that's impossible. But a year ago, I'd say this here is impossible. So who knows? I just got to keep kicking down doors.
This was such an incredible interview.
Yeah.
It gives me a lot of shivers. Emily was so generous with her interview, telling us that it would be a life-changing experience.
Yep.
How cool is that?
And, you know, another thing that she said was 2 years ago, this wouldn't have even been a possibility. And, you know, I've been around motorsports for 20 years, like I mentioned earlier. And at that time, this was not a possibility. The sim racing was not a big thing. You know, there are video games, yes, that existed. But in this competitive format, the way that it exists today and the way that it's used today by real race car drivers, real manufacturers, real racing programs all over the world use sims in order to advance their technology. And the racers that we have competing, those are real life goals. Those are things that are, as she mentioned, pipe dreams. Those aren't pipe dreams. Those are real life dreams.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, it's actually possible to go from a sim to real life.
Yes.
Because it happened with our very own Sabra, and we have her here. Well, you were kind of doing both, right? You were already in the virtual world and in the real life racing world, and you were merging both.
So I didn't actually get into like
Yeah,
esports
yeah.
racing until 2020.
Okay.
Like most people
Like
did,
most
right?
people,
Because
yeah.
during the pandemic.
Yep.
So it was actually with the W series, right? So our season got canceled, and the only option we had was to do sim racing.
Okay.
So we did an entire season on iRacing all over the world, like right, we're from all different countries, and we ran our entire championship
From
through
your living
iRacing.
room, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you were learning as everyone else was
Yes.
learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So a little bit different, but it's possible. It's possible to do it.
100%. You see tons of guys now come from the esports world and be extremely successful this first time they jump into a car because they've already built up those skills and they've built up the vision and the sense for it.
When race teams first started using simulation as a training tool, a lot of the drivers, the older school we'll call drivers, hated it. They couldn't do the sims. They said it makes me dizzy. I can't. I don't feel anything. This is so unnatural. And they can't do that anymore. If they don't get on the sims anymore, they are not valuable to the program.
100%. It is literally an integral part of driver training nowadays. The sims have gotten so good. That's why we're using the next level sims. And honestly, like, if you're not on the sim and you're not using it as a tool, you are dropping behind. So it has become such a big part of being a better driver.
So you were about to ask the
I
question,
was.
but
So-
it might be the same
Go
question.
ahead,
So
go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I was going to bring up the point we were talking about
Yes.
earlier. So was Heat 2 came out, they had to get comfortable in their rigs. We mentioned they're sharing the rigs with another competitor, watching the seats and, you know, the discomfort element, the nerve that's there. But you've had that real world application. What is that like to have to put your game face on, sit down, be slightly uncomfortable, and make the most of it?
That is what the most highly successful people are. That's what they're good at, is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So the best drivers are good at kind of weaponizing that uncomfortable feeling and learning how to adapt into any situation. So an experience like this where they have to come in and they've got to learn how to just deal with whatever it is, that's such a valuable thing to take forward into anything else that they go into.
So we're not necessarily going to have the best driver and the fastest driver on the podium today because it's more about how they adapt, right?
I would
You
say
think?
the most adaptable driver is the best driver.
Oh,
Look at
I
that.
love it.
100%.
I love it.
So his Heat 2, they're going through their practice laps right now. We had Callie, the first word we talked about, if you're just joining us, we interviewed her earlier on, and the very first word out of her mouth was traffic. What advice would you give to getting through traffic cleanly?
I would have two different mindsets, right? Because they're about to do a heat race, and it's going to be about finishing in the top 5, making it to the final. You kind of keep those little bit of banker laps and like that little bit extra speed and risks for the final.
Yep.
So, and now, like, I would just say, make safe choices,
Yes!
but still be aggressive. Like,
what is the risk versus reward? What are you going to get out of
exactly.
it? Yeah.
It's all about like kind of weighing that, like where if I'm lapping a car and I can get by them one corner later, but I'm taking a massive risk passing them here, wait one corner later.
Yep.
Because if you're second or third, it is not worth getting crashed and not making it to the final.
Now, the other thing that I find interesting about the setup in esports and iRacing is just the amount of information that they have access to versus what you have in the race car. So in the race car, you have your tax, you've got your RPM, you know what your gearing. You don't necessarily know what your position is. You don't know what lap times your competitors are turning. You don't see all of that right there on the screen in front of you. How do you deal with that amount of information internally?
I think it's really important to just be focused on what's in the moment and what is happening next, and only focused on like what is going to make me go faster, right? Like looking at another lap time of someone else, is that going to make me go faster?
Right.
Probably not. It's just going to stress me out. But if I just focus on the process of like, okay, I need to brake later next corner, that's it. That's all you focus on.
I love this. And, you know, we're going to get to hang out with you a little bit later because you're going to be talking to the winner of that race.
Yeah.
But one thing that from looking at all these racers, do you have a prediction of who's going to win this? Do you think that one of them is like really more comfortable than
On the
anyone else?
spot.
I feel like I need to watch the heat race first, the second one, and then I feel like I'm pretty confident I can make a prediction based on that.
Ooh.
But yeah, I haven't seen these guys race yet, so maybe I'll save it.
Wait.
I'll save it.
You can text it to me.
I'll
and be
text
like,
it to you.
this person is going to be, just so we can have proof.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Maybe I should plead the fifth.
Thank you so much, Sabra. We'll see you a little bit later with the winner.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes. We're jumping in our qualifying grid moment. We want to just let you know how it works. How do we define the grid for this race?
I'm going to get this right this time.
Okay.
we watched
let's do it.
We watched it unfold. So we have 10 competitors, all in their rigs. They've had their practice. They're getting up to speed right now. From this heat race, from the practice, what we're going to determine is their starting positions.
Exactly,
Yes.
their starting position. And you saw Els with her glove, and this is something that I'm very new to. And I had to ask you, is it like normal to have gloves in sim racing? And apparently, yes, just like the real cars.
You didn't ask me. I'm new to sim racing.
Oh. I don't know who I asked, but it's just like real cars. They need a grip on their ends.
Well, I think that we talked about how these rigs are not what they're accustomed to. So what's one factor that they can control? It's the feel, right?
You're
so
right.
are they getting the same feel out of it because of what they have on their hands? Is it maybe just a comfort blanket, so to speak? Is it something that they feel more comfortable with the same gloves that they would wear at home? I think that
I would always wear the gloves. I think it looks fabulous.
It does. Well, you look the part.
Yeah, she does.
Yes.
Here we have it. Our first cars are jumping into the qualifying rounds. The first round around the track doesn't count.
The outlap.
It outlap.
An
There it
outlap,
is.
yes. So that is the exit, the lap where you're exiting pit lane. They have not crossed start-finish line. So this is their outlap. It is their chance to see the racetrack. You see the dirt. All of this is simulated to be similar to what you would experience out on the racetrack. So the outlap is, it's kind of like the entrance ramp of the interstate. It is your chance to get up to speed so that when you get to the start-finish line, you're already ready to go.
And our fastest driver in the qualifying rounds to get to this event was
on board with Rubia
Fitzpatrick.
Costa. We saw her spin on that outlap. Again, they get multiple laps. She's going to get 4 timed laps. This is just a chance to, what is the limit? What is that risk and reward that we were talking about? How late can she push on the brakes going into the corner?
We mentioned how this was going to be a very competitive heat, and so every position on that grid is going to matter.
And again, this will be a standing start. If you were not here with us for race number 1, they will start the race from a stop. So the green flag will wave, and that's when they go. So if you start on pole, which that means you're going to start first, you get to be out in front of everybody else that's performing the standing start with you. It does become pretty important. We saw how easy it was to stay up front in our Heat 1 race.
Yeah, Esmeralda van der Nalt was in the lead. All the
All but the final lap.
The laps, that's
Yes.
the word I was looking for. I'm trying to be motorsport specific. All the laps, except
Yes.
the last
Yes.
one. She got passed at the very last second. So it does feel like grid position #1 in this qualifying round is super important.
We're on board with Christina Ryan, who again did win that first practice race just over a week ago. But again, that was from home. That was the comfort of her own rig.
Yeah, we have Amish in the lead. And as I was saying that, she just got passed by Alu Gobi, who's now in the lead, potentially starting with the pole position.
On board with Eris Aphelion. No traffic, nobody in front, nobody behind. That's exactly what you want in this qualifier. You want the clean racetrack. You want your best lap time. You don't want to have to deal with anybody getting in your way or any potential incidents that's not of your own fruition. So doing a great job just spacing out. Everybody was really smart about where they left pit lane.
And I mean, we are playing in iRacing. It is a game, so there could be, you know, a way to be solo on a track, but not today. Today, it's about really simulating the real experience they would have at the Las Vegas track, which is where we are right now. And it was incredible because one of the Aerial Powers was mentioning, as she was practicing, she could see the cars behind her, in front of her, in the window, the real NASCARs. So,
Isn't that so
we're
cool?
living the real experience here.
Now the weekend that we're a part of right now, it's the Pennzoil 400, part of the NASCAR schedule for this season, and they're not running this exact configuration. They're running the oval, so we're running the road course that's inside of the oval. So it's a little bit different, but we're on the same ground.
Yeah.
We're at the same place. The only thing that's not simulated is the Air Force that flies over all day, which would be amazing. But it's
little
just
bit
such
the
a
wind,
great.
too.
This is such a great racetrack to come and visit.
You saw a lot of the top racers from this heat started their qualifying rounds a little bit later. So one of our pole position leader, Amish, dropped quite drastically in the grid position. We saw Leclerc coming on.
This is Hamish that we're watching right now.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We're still watching Amish.
It's like might have been slowing down, maybe trying to find a clean spot. Couldn't see the whole track there. It's Jewel Wolf, the number 97. And again, we talked about this in heat #1 if you're just now joining us. That was the end of heat #2.
Yeah, I do believe we have our grid, if I'm not mistaken. So let's, as soon as we can take a look at it, we're going to see if there is any surprise or not, because as we mentioned, 9 of these 10 drivers qualified because of their speed during 3 months qualifying rounds.
Yep.
So, and it was across the world.
Yep.
So it's quite incredible. They were in the top 15. And here we have our grid Fitzpatrick with
Saoirse Fitzpatrick.
the pole
Look at that.
position.
Yep.
Our Irish representative.
Yep.
The cool-looking swag is going to be first. In our Canadian, Alu Gobi in second place.
Emily Howe and Athena Leclerc make up row #2 for our Heat 2 race.
And we do have a Jewel Wolf in Hamish as well in 6th position. So that's our top 6. As we take a look of the remaining 4 competitors real quick. Any surprises you can see so far?
No, well, Ruby being back on row 4, as well as Christina Ryan. You know, I
You're
imagine
right.
those two would have been closer to the front. Again, we're just now getting ready to start qualifying, but we are only taking the top 5. Currently, they are 7th and 8th with Eris Aphelion and Els back in row #5. So they're going to have to get through the standing start first. They're going to have to get through turn 1 of lap 1 second. They're going to have to settle down. They're going to have to get through the 12 laps. You can't make it on if you don't get to the checkered flag. There is no going back to the garage. There is no Control Alt Delete. This is, you get 12 laps and that's what you get.
That's what you get, and that's a very, very scary for all of these drivers. The cars are taking position on the grids, and we're about to go live with our second heat today, Jamie. This is exciting.
Even look, iRacing is so phenomenal. They've got the fans lined at the fence, just like you would see in real life. The billboards along the turn 4 that you saw back there are even simulated to what you would see on the actual billboards here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Just a phenomenal job they do of modeling these racetracks.
Yeah, and here we have it presented by Pentoil. We have our heat number 2, top 5 qualifiers.
There we go.
To the finale, our last racer here, number 2.
Grid is populating, ready for our standing start. You're going to see the green flag wave off to the right-hand side of the screen. Revs are up, we're going green. There we go. Heat number 2 underway.
Already our 2 first position, starting clean, starting ahead, but we have our
cannot
first
go 4 wide.
collision.
This is what I talked about. Turn 1 of lap 1. You cannot win the race from that point. You have to get to the checkered flag. There's 3 cars that are already close to going a lap down because of turn 1 of lap 1.
We can see what that means on the standings right here.
Alugobi up into first place, got around Searsha right at the beginning.
We do have Ruby Acosta. You mentioned how you were surprised that she was that deep in the grid, and take a look at this. She's 10th right now, so she's going to have to do an amazing race to come back and make it to the top 5. Fitzpatrick started the race first. So great start from Alugobi, being able to right away win that pole position.
You get that driver's eye look at Emily Howe right now as we're on board with her in 3rd place. Not close enough to be able to put the pressure on for 2nd, not being held up though either, but you can see that gap behind her. 4th place right now with Hamish Eisner is all the way is back there.
Yeah, it feels very similar to the first heat where the top 3 was able to get away from the pack. So I wonder if, like you mentioned, it's the first turn that really makes a difference here.
Yeah, we're only on the 2nd lap, and look at the spacing that we have. This is the point you guys settle down. This is what Sabre was talking about. This is a replay of the start. It wasn't a particularly clean standing start because we were already 4 wide by the time they got down to turn 1.
There it is. We have the white car here, number 85, who kind of bumped the other 3 cars and made her way.
But that's why it was so important on that qualifier to be out front, so you don't find yourself surrounded by traffic from the time the green flies.
And 85 was Amish, so potentially we'll get to talk to her about that at the end of that race, because she's in 4th position and she's getting closer and closer to that pack, but she's being challenged right now by Leclerc, number 61. And as you can see, Leclerc is going very aggressive here in these turns.
But we're at that point, right? I mean, we're only 3 laps in, but she's in 5th place, and in the esports and the iRacing world, she knows that information. She knows what's on the line here. If she doesn't advance past this top 5, she doesn't advance to the finale. So maintaining that aggression right now is important for her because she has more to lose than what Alugobi at the lead does.
And she does have really fierce competitor behind her. Acosta already winning 2 spots in the standings from where the crash happened. And it's possible that we see Wolf and Acosta come back into this race, especially Ryan, as we mentioned, is really experimented in winning these races.
Yep. Now, Christina Ryan only 6.6 seconds off, but what's different right now from heat number 1 is that we have the top 10 all still on the lead lap within 37 seconds of each other. So this is much closer. We saw in the last couple of laps of heat 1 how quickly that can go away. If there's just any incident at any point in time can close that gap a lot more. So staying on that lead lap is pretty vital here. But the difference, and you know, we talked about how the heats were picked, and it was the coin flip early on.
Coin flip.
There were some pretty surprised faces at the stacked field that we found in heat number 2. So these are all fierce competitors. We had 3 of our 4 influencers were in heat 1 that did not qualify in the top 15. All but 1 of these competitors qualified to race here tonight. So this was expected to be our closest competition in terms of the heat races.
Leclerc's face when the groups were drawn.
Yes.
She
was
knew.
shocked.
She knew she was in for trouble, and she's standing at spot number 4 being chased by Amish, who actually just got passed by
Yes,
Ryan.
yep.
Ryan making a comeback into this race, one driver at the time.
Christina Ryan, and they're separated by only, less than 0.6 of a second. So the gap's widening a little bit, but that's how close it is, and we're only halfway through this heat
I wonder
race.
if something happened with Amish because she just fell a bunch of position, so might have had contact during that Ryan pass that we were not able to see. So you can see she's now 8th with 20 seconds behind when she was only 4 seconds away.
Look at the focus on Christina's face right now.
Now she knows she's in the top 5.
Yes.
So it's a matter of, do I go aggressive to make sure I don't get passed again? Or do I try to win some spots?
Well, what she also knows is behind her there is a 10-second gap. So she's 7 seconds behind the leaders, but 6th place is 17 seconds behind the leaders. So she's got a little bit of a buffer now. She can settle down a little bit. She's got to maintain that aggression because she can't lose that lead gap just in case the rest of the field does close up or they find themselves in traffic. We don't have anybody a lap down yet, but that can happen fast. So
we're currently following number 6 and 7, Wolf and Acosta. We're in a fierce fight here because as you know at home, as they know as well, they're just outside the top 5. So Wolf wants to win that spot, wants to pass. Acosta wants to pass Wolf because, she wants to be in the top 5.
Ruby's taking a much more aggressive line also than what Jewel Wolf is. You can see on the onboard looking back at, this is Ruby Acosta back behind her, much more aggressive on the curbing, closing that gap down a little bit, trying to get up there. She can't do anything from 7th place. She gets herself into 6th place. Then she could maybe close that gap to 5th place. So she's being much more aggressive at this stage.
We have our top 2 here. And this is where, when we talk to Sabra, is it worth for them to be aggressive to each other? The number 1, the number 2, the position on the results of this race does not matter in the finale. They're going to have another grid qualifying round. So it's just a matter of getting that practice in that we talked about.
At this stage, 5 laps to go. Is it worth getting up there, potentially taking yourself out just because you want the accolade of winning a heat race? Probably not. Probably not.
And if you do crash in iRacing, it's easy to just start again, but not in today's competition.
Not today.
There is no garage stop. Yep. And that does mean that if your car is busted, it is busted.
And you've got to drive it like it.
Exactly. Just like real life. Yep. Although it won't cost them thousands of dollars to get it fixed.
No, which is one of the beauties of sim racing. And take a look at this replay with Hamish. This may be what happened.
Yeah, I think so. This is.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just
what happened.
Went too wide, too deep into that corner. Didn't look like lost a ton of time, but maybe just got out of sync a little bit.
Because as we can see, she's now, in number 8, 40 seconds behind Indriani and Aphelion, and it does feel like she's out of the race right now. We have only 3 laps to go. 12 laps is so quick in sim, and so it does mean that Ryan, trying to secure a 5th position, is doing a great job at it.
Holding that gap now at 8 seconds. It's Christina Ryan to 6th place. So our top 5 is settled in a little bit, but still super close at the front. But again, how hard do you push with 3 laps to go in a heat race?
I do feel that Fitzpatrick is going very aggressive on Gobi. Hopefully nothing crazy happened in these last 3 rounds. We mentioned how it is good practice, though, as we saw a car in the gravel being passed by Gobi and Fitzpatrick.
But that was one of the things that we did learn from Heat 1 is just the traffic. And so what Fitzpatrick's doing right now is experiencing what it's like to follow. Where is it safer to make those passes? They're at this point going to advance on to the finale. And with the experience learned from this, could perhaps fight a little bit harder in the next race.
And in the race for 6th, unfortunately, 2 laps to go. Costa, Ruby, and Wolf. She's coming from really behind Ruby, unfortunately. She was caught in the contact at the top of this race.
But it started from not qualifying higher up on the grid
Yeah, you're
also,
right, you're
and
right.
being in that mix and turn one and just not getting the start needed to stay out front. And our checkered flag has flied. So we've got our top 5 that will move on to the finale.
Yeah, and in the lead right now, Ali Gobi creating a little bit, I'm going to say, of a surprise. She qualified in number 11 coming out of Canada. About to win or eat something that I don't think the other competitors necessarily expected.
You don't think so?
Well, like, anyway, it's anyone's game. It's
Yeah.
anyone's race. But it's
I didn't see who that was that went off there. I think our top 5 remain the same as the checker is now out. And Saoirse Fitzpatrick, I think, stayed in second. So look at Jewel Wolf in that 97. And they're still coming towards the checkered flag, I believe. They're on their final lap.
So did we have, were the last competitors lapped by the leaders, or did we all stay within one
There
lap?
was a car that went wide right on that final lap, right towards that last turn. I couldn't see who it was though. I don't know if it was one of our top 5 or if it was somebody from further back.
And here we have it. The final standing. Haley Gobi is going to be the winner of this race. She is part of Grip Hacks Engineering, the racing team. So it's great to see that she was able to win this, but so close. Take a look at the gap.
So close, yep. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought that she stayed in second, but that gap did close to just 0.4 of a second.
And there we have our top 5 making it to the grand final. Emily Au, Atina Leclerc, and Christina Ryan. That does mean we say goodbye to 5 amazing competitors. Jewel Wolf, Ruby Acosta, Hamish, as well as Iris and Els. We have to say that this was a hell of a race.
It really was. And there was something that happened right at the end because they were all on the lead lap, and
You're right.
and then Els finishing 2 laps down, Eris 1 lap. So we didn't get that incident, but again, our top 5 are advancing on tonight.
And we knew this was going to be a close heat.
Yes.
But it showed in the game on the racetrack because we did have collisions.
Yep.
We did have a really intense grid start.
We had aggression in this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it gave us a little bit of taste. What's going to be the finale a little bit later. It's a different format, a little bit more laps, more entertainment. But before we get to that, we do have an interview with our winner, Sabra. Take it away.
Hi guys, I am here with our Heat 2 winner, Alu Gobi. Congratulations. How are you feeling right now?
Pretty amped up, fire me up. Feels good, hell yeah.
I love that. That sounds great. So, what do you think you might change though going into the final? Is there any way you would look at it differently than the heat race?
Yeah, I would say I know I can do Sector 1 really well, but I think Sector 3, the final sector, I have something to put down in terms of braking. So I'm going to do my best in terms of warm-up and qualifying just to iron out those kinks so I can really put my best foot forward in the final race.
That's great thoughts going forward. You are the first that we've seen to start on pole, win from pole. Esmeralda wasn't able to do it in Heat 1, so congratulations on being able to convert that. That's a great skill to have. And what are you looking forward to the most in the final?
Putting on a great show. I think racing is always fun, so if there is a chance to fight, I'm going to welcome it, and I'm going to defend hard if I'm in front. I'm going to fight hard if I'm in the back. So look out for me.
Well, we will definitely be looking out for you, and we are so excited to watch the final. Back to Steph and Jamie at the desk. We are so excited to watch the next race.
Thank you so much, Sabra. One thing that was cool is that it was our first interview that went a little bit more technical.
It was, and she really used that as a learning platform to get herself ready for the finale. I love that, the technical side of it.
Yeah, she seemed very calm, very focused already on our grand final, who's going to be happening a little bit later as all the drivers are going to get ready in their sim. But, we have one thing that right now we're going to take a look at is a giveaway.
Oh, okay.
A
our yellow
giveaway.
bucket.
Our yellow bucket.
If you're just joining us, we have this Pennzoil yellow bucket, and we have been drawing names out. Everybody's name who's in here did register, pre-registered as an ally before tonight, with the chance to win a really great swag pack. You get a really nice water bottle. I have mine sitting around here somewhere. This shirt that we're wearing. The competitors also got everything the competitors got when they arrived, and all you had to do was log in and register as an ally.
An ally on screentospeed.com, which is the name of our event. If you want to know more information about this event, go check it out. But right now, it's all about the Pennzoil giveaway. I'm very excited. Hundreds of people of you are ally of this event. And okay, the winner is, this is challenging my English pronunciation. I'm going to say Kiefer McKenna. Would you agree with that?
I would go Kiefer.
Kiefer McKenna, you are our big winner, the third one of the day. We will be contacting you so we can ship that to your home. Thank you so much. And we still have more giveaways.
We do.
Still
there are more names in that bucket.
There are more names in that bucket. We still have more actions coming up for you. The best is yet to come. And we're going to go to a short break before we bring it live for the grand finale of the first event. Screen to Speed is live from Vegas. Stay tuned.
Emily Howe. I'm a civil engineer. Sim racing is my passion, and I'm currently competing in Screen to Speed. I love competing, and I love being able to compete with people like me and just, see who is truly the best. For me, it's just competition. I'll compete in anything.
Well, when I stopped racing due to my disability when I was almost 20 years old, I think 4 years later someone told me, Yvonne, you need to try this sim racing. 3 years later, I joined an esports team, and since then it really grows. And now we have our own esports team helping to promote sim racing to women, but also with people with a disability.
Here we are for the grand finale of our first event, the Screen to Speed event. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Miss Harvey. I'm from the gaming and esports world, and I'm with Jamie from the motorsport world. And Jamie, we have a really special guest next to us right now.
As you're watching your screen right now, you can see these images that were shot on Friday here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with none other than Haley Deegan, who competes in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship in the number 13 from Thor Sport. You're a Ford driver. You've been out here for years doing this, chasing this dream, and now you're joining us tonight. How are you?
Yeah, it's awesome. Excited to be here. We just got done racing yesterday. Got to hang out today. Watch the Xfinity race. So it's cool to be here and doing this.
You made your Xfinity debut here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway last fall. You finished 13th, I believe.
Yes,
the highest finish for a woman ever in the Xfinity series. So congrats to you on that. But being back out here in Las Vegas, all the experiences that you've had, what is it like to come and see an event of this magnitude?
Yeah, it's definitely a massive event. I know there's been a lot of people talking about it and getting it in the works. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes to make it happen. And even my deal for them to be on the truck for this weekend was put together definitely very, very quick. But to be a part of something like this is super cool.
And the other thing that Haley has to deal with in the real world racing application that doesn't apply here is the fire suit. She did a great video that's on Instagram about just getting the fire suit ready with all of the logos and the screen to speed decal on it and everything. So go check out her social channels for that. But you're also an iRacer. You compete at your house. You're all a member, like I mentioned, of the Ford Motorsports family. So you use the Ford Sims.
Yes.
The sim world has changed drastically. How do you learn from it as a race car driver?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the sim stuff, the Ford Sim versus the sim I have is a lot nicer. But the Ford Sim, the technology they have there, the engineers they have at the simulator at their location in North Carolina, it's convenient to go to. It's not too far from my house. We pretty much, with my team being in Ohio, which is a lot different from most teams are based in North Carolina, in Charlotte area. So now that they're based in Ohio, the teams kind of call in and they have kind of like a Zoom deal, I guess, a basic way of saying it. And we're able to run setups on there, all from being in different remote locations. So the Ford Sim is definitely a great tool to have, and you're running a lot of setups on it, a lot of things that you're coming to the track with. So that's the goal, is to get that simulator pretty much to the point where it's exactly of what you would take to the racetrack, being able to test stuff and it handle exactly like how it would if we were to come to Vegas and race. So
and we did ask Sabra earlier, because she's also someone that competes in real life and in iRacing. What do you think is the main challenge as our players and drivers are getting into this final race here and getting ready to sim in this track in Vegas?
Oh man, I'd say the biggest thing is probably the pressure of it.
Yeah, right?
I think when you're you got everyone around, I'd say that's the hard part.
Such a good point. Yep.
When you're doing stuff kind of by yourself and you don't have as much pressure surrounding you, obviously cameras affect it a lot. So I think that pressure is going to be huge.
One of the things that we've also talked about a lot tonight is the fact that we have 10 sims, we have 20 competitors that were out here this weekend, and this isn't the sim like that they have at home. It's not the sim like they have in college. Did you know that there are colleges with esport programs?
Really?
I
did not know that.
Yeah,
I had no
esports
idea.
ram and racing.
And racing,
esports
they have
programs.
race teams.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't go to college, so I probably don't have much input there.
No, I had no idea that the world of esports had opened up so drastically over the last couple of years. But one of the things we talked about was just the comfort factor. You switched to Thor Sport this year in the Craftsman Truck Series. New team, new truck, new everything around you. How do you take that discomfort and then do something with it out on the racetrack?
Yeah, I think my crew that I have around me, I'd say, is what kind of that openness and caring, that they really just want to make sure that you're as comfortable as possible. I'd say that that's huge. Making sure that, like, you're not being a nuisance by asking, like, hey, can we move this again? Can we change this? Or after practice, can we try this or do this? And they're super just open to, like, making sure I'm as comfortable as possible, which is really, really nice and helps a lot, especially when you're bonding with a new team. So they've been great over at Thor Sport. There's not one thing that I could say bad about them at all. They're an amazing team, super prestigious team, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
You can imagine the challenges that are involved in getting an event of this magnitude, screen to speeds, what we're talking about, by women, for women. One of the only ways that it was possible, I mean, really the only way, is the partners, the Pennzoils, the Fords, and it's sports. Everybody that's put in the time, the effort, the marketing, the money, just to make it all happen. One of the reasons that they did it was because the company's goals aligned with the goals of Screen to Speed, and that is to bring women into an industry that has been so male dominated. You've grown up around motorsports. Her dad, Brian Deegan, a legend. You've been a part of it your entire life. What challenges have you experienced by being a woman in a man's world?
Yeah, I would say being a girl in the racing world, I didn't really notice any differences at first. Like growing up, because I saw myself as the same. Like I was just like, oh, like I go to the track, I see my friends, I gotta get a race against them. Like I was out there to try to finish as good as I could, to go win races, and that's exactly what we were able to accomplish. But I didn't know I was different. Like I just thought I was like one of the guys hanging out. Like it just that's how it was for me growing up. My dad never treated me different.
Exactly.
My dad never treated me different growing up with that stuff, and I think I've kind of taken the same mindset coming into the NASCAR side of things of like, don't kind of separate myself. Like, if other people separate me, oh well. Like, at the end of the day, their opinions don't always matter. So, as long as it's kind of what you think about yourself.
Is that the same advice that you would give to somebody else who wanted to make the same steps that you've made in the racing world?
Yeah, I'd say you gotta be tough. You definitely have to be tough, and you just gotta go out there and believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. And it's funny because it was kind of the same for me in gaming, right? Where I grew up, I didn't realize the difference until I was put a microphone in my face. How does it feel to be the only women at this gaming event? And I'll be like, wait, what? Oh, you're right. You know, like I didn't
You almost
realize.
don't notice.
Yeah, exactly. And it does matter to create these events like today, the Screen to Speed, because we're exposing this sport to a minority that is very, very absent in motorsport in general, but also in gaming. There's not a lot of women competitors in esports, not a lot of women competitors in motorsports. You mentioned it at the top of the show. This is two minorities kind of merging together to create a really, really niche event that was able to gather 20 racer here today to make a difference, and hopefully the first of many series. Many times you're going to be competing on a real racetrack, and we're going to be right here commentating. That's the goal. That's really the goal. And if you want to get involved, it's really easy. First of all, follow all of our partners, but go to Screen to Speed and check out everybody that's been involving in this tournament, especially Steffi and Victoria, who were really the pioneer of launching this event.
I see, again, you guys can't see what we're looking at. We can see all 10 rigs, the 10 finalists out there right now getting some practice laps in. Haley, one of the things that came up in that first heat, a word that was said, Callie, who won heat one, was traffic. Traffic is something you have to deal with in the real life racing situation. Unfortunately, it was something that she knew firsthand on Friday night.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. How do you manage those things that you can't predict?
Oh man, that's a hard part of racing. If I had the answer for you, I'd tell you. and I think a lot of people are looking for that answer. So when it comes to that stuff, it's almost you know it's going to happen at some point. You're going to end up in some sort of mess because you are racing so hard at such a high level, and there's a lot of trucks on the track. Like being out here playing iRacing, that's some of the things that frustrate me. Like whenever you try to play, there's always like sometimes a broad range of drivers, whereas like in the racing that we do, it's mostly like everyone's pretty close. So like sometimes there's kids that are 12 years old that just got a sim that could be entering your race. So when it comes to dealing with traffic on the sims, it sometimes can be a little more frustrating. But definitely that's something you still deal with in the truck series, things like that. But for the most part, everyone's pretty tight in the truck series.
We have this great view where we can see the faces of all of our competitors. Looks like we have work happening on rig number 1 right now. So we have some extra time to chat. You know, as you look at this screen and you see the focus on the faces of our 10 competitors here for the finale, what do you think in those moments?
I'd say just when it comes to the sim stuff, and for me personally, it's applying it to real life.
Okay.
And that's one of the biggest reasons I use the simulators is because I'm able to apply it to real life. So I always try to take it as serious as possible. And I feel like oftentimes than not, if I ever just try to go have fun on the sim, I end up getting frustrated. So I try and make it as real as possible. And yes, the simulator stuff, like it's probably as close as you're going to get
Yeah.
to real racing. That's the closest thing that you can possibly have to being on the racetrack.
So it's one of the great things about this program. Our winner tonight, when we get to the end of this 20-lap finale, our winner is going to get a check for $15,000 that you're going to hand off to them. But they're also going to get a test in a real race car. They're going to get to race or test with Kelly Moss Racing in a Porsche. I think it's in a Porsche Cup GT3 Cup car. We'll have to double check that with Victoria. But it's an actual proper purpose-built race car. What advice do you give to someone who's never had that experience? What can they take from the sim world to apply?
That's a hard one. I say that's where kind of pressure comes into play with taking stuff over to the real car world in real life, and it's you all of a sudden have a car that you're kind of liable for, and damages that you can do to the car. Whereas like the sim stuff, you hit a button, that thing reloads. So it's very nice. It's very nice. But when it comes to the real life stuff and the things you can apply over, I'd say being a little bit cautious to start out with, and taking it easy, because there isn't no restart button and when it comes to those cars.
And tonight for our race, we also don't have a trip to the garage. So if they get any damage over the 20 laps, they've got to race with it. How do you do that?
Oh yeah, I think that's a hard one. Oftentimes than not, when you're getting in stuff in the truck series, you get damage and you got to deal with it for the rest of the race. There's not many times that they can fix it, and if the damage is too much, like how it was for me on Friday, you can't go back out. So we ended up losing power inside the truck, so couldn't even get started back up the other night. But there was a few things that were already broke that couldn't make it, so we could go back out.
One thing I want to talk about is we can take a look at, this is a simulation, but we do see gloves. We do see, like, it looks like Gobi is wearing racing glasses. It looks very fancy. It looked really fancy. And so, how important it is to feel comfortable on a new rig, because these competitors, it's the first time they're playing with that rig.
Yeah, and I'd say when it comes to the iRacing stuff, you really or like the simulator stuff in general, like it's kind of what your comfort is. Like me, I can't play wearing like sneakers. Like I always have to wear socks when I play. And I know I see a few others that are out there that are the same way, but there's some people that wear shoes. And so there's some people that like to use gloves, glasses, whatever it is. It's kind of just making your own.
Do you upgrade your rigs here and there?
I have a sponsor deal with a simulator company, and I have a full motion rig, which is definitely a lot higher class than I probably would have bought. But I'm definitely super fortunate to be a part of their program and be able to drive on one of their full motion simulators, because one of the biggest things that I struggled with for the longest time was being able to kind of just feel what the car or the truck is doing that you're driving. I had no feel, and my boyfriend, who's really, really good at driving on simulators, he's like, oh, you have to feel with your eyes. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know how to feel with my eyes. Like, so that's something that a lot of sim racers are good at. But for me, coming from, like, I guess the real life racing world and trying to go on simulators, kind of like flopping it, I had to have a motion rig to be able to be any decent on the simulators. So.
But that's another thing that sim racing offers that in real life racing doesn't, is that it costs more to upgrade your rig, but it's not as much as it costs to go from like a MX-5 to a Lamborghini. Like there's, you can get very big changes in sim racing for a
fraction
smaller,
of the cost.
Yeah, some of the seats on these teams are costing, competitors and racer millions of dollars, while it doesn't cost millions to create rigs at home. So we're very fortunate that we're able to do that. And while we're waiting for our racers to be ready, we do have a last player interview, so let's check it out.
Perfect.
My name is Garnet Collins. I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm here for Screen to Speed, and I'm here to just check things out. So Screen to Speed is a really cool competition. I've been involved, following it for months. I've been so excited telling everyone I know about this. It's just awesome. So many different kinds of women. You have queer women, women from all around the world, disabled women. It's for everyone. I think that's so cool. It's been great. I mean, meeting people, networking, improving my own skills, having a chance to, this is going to be kind of vain, but having a chance to show off a little bit. The first game that I ever played that is not really a simulator would be Forza Horizon 5. I played it with my brother for years, and then one day I decided I wanted to try it with a wheel with some force feedback and see what it was like, and it went from the wheel to, oh, well, I have to do it in VR, and then that got to Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa led to iRacing, so yeah. I bought that wheel on April 16th of 2021, so not quite 2 years yet. So my goal this year is I want to be in a car. I want to be in a race car. I think that'd be awesome. It's one of those things where if I have the opportunity, I'll say yes. That's why I'm here. I saw an opportunity, I said yes to it, and here I am in Vegas. I want to give a big thank you to Dream Racing, Screen to Speed, Pennzoil, everybody that's involved, giving us this space to do our races, to learn, to get involved. It's awesome. So big thank you.
That Garnett Collins said there was just learn to get involved. Haley, that's one of the things that I've seen from you the last couple of years in covering the truck series is you are always out there to involve yourself with the fans. How important is that to maintaining, one, your sanity, but two, just the relationships?
Yeah, I'd say going out there and trying to just be a part of the whole production of it. Just going out there, signing autographs, taking pictures if people want them. It's a whole experience within itself, and I always try to make time for as many fans as I can. Obviously, there is times where I have to be like, I gotta go, I have to get ready, race, and so I do hate those moments a little bit because people will be like, oh, no, but also I'm there to do a job. So that comes first, obviously, but I always try to take care of my fans as much as possible, and the best way I try to do that is with our YouTube channel, social media, whatever it is, so they can get kind of the more behind-the-scenes feel of it without, say, having to go and just have like a 10-minute conversation with you to get to know you. So we try to do that with social media so people can really get to know me and my personality of who I really am.
Yep. No, your social channels are phenomenal. I learned so much about you. And Chase, of course, just the fun that you had. And, you saw the video earlier of the truck that she raced on Friday night in the livery that was the Screen to Speed livery. There's also a video that Chase did. He posted of just coming up with that, creating that livery. He's a digital creator himself, and together you guys you just do such a great job on all the social channels.
Yeah, he does a really good job. He drives circles around me on the simulator. He has quite a few years of experience on me when it comes to sim racing, so he's definitely my go-to person for whenever I need advice playing it.
And talking about fans, we do have some watch parties happening online. So if you're from either Fam Gaming or the gamers, we want to say hi. We want to say thank you for being part of this event. Check them out. If you want to get involved into women in gaming, these two organizations are doing big things inside and outside of gaming, as they are here today with us, both Representative Rebecca and Jessica from Gamers as well as Fam Gaming. Thank you so much. Are here in Vegas supporting the drivers and supporting everyone.
All right, and we've mentioned Steffi throughout the night and just the brain behind this whole Screen to Speed concept. She's out on the floor right now with Sabra. Let's learn more about just what it took to get here. Sabra?
Sorry, guys. I just was practicing. So we are here with the famous Steffi. And if you don't know Steffi, she is a badass. She is a 3-time women's motocross champion, among so many other things. And Screen to Speed was her and Victoria Thomas's brainchild. And now it has come into real life. Steffi, how does it feel to have your baby out here in the open running?
It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. This is an idea that came about like 4 or 5 sustainable. So, what we like to do is like to bring in sim racing. With sim racing, you can do it in a digital way. So, like the kids nowadays, they are looking all of that opportunity to be more sustainable. So here it is the option.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like my generation and the generations after this is their life, right? They're into gaming. It is all the rage right now. So it's a great way to just connect a global community. So going forward, though, what do you hope to see for Screen to Speed's future?
Well, hope to make many Screen to Speed because the opportunity here is really to expose more women and minority to motorsport as a whole. Not everybody's going to become, a champion, by doing sim racing. But maybe they get inspired and they start to get involved in STEM, and maybe they get to be an engineer or a broadcaster or a host. So it's a way to open the doors. That's what we are looking for doing and achieving with this. And if everybody's happy with this show that we are doing, we're definitely going to do it more and more and more.
Well, Steffi, you are leading the way and opening many doors for everyone. We are so proud to be associated with you, and I'm excited to see what this future of Screen to Speed is. Are we going to see you on a sim eventually?
Yeah, eventually. I mean, I'm a racer at heart. I used to race with 2 wheels, but I love to race. I would like to race in 4 too. So yes, definitely on the sim. But what I'm actually very excited about is the fact that we got the possibility to have women from all over the world to come over here. And for some of them, it's the first time even on an airplane. So be able to change life and touch lives in this way, it's very important. And I'm very happy to have all this group here with me to be able to do this.
Yes, well, it's no secret that you are excited to have more Europeans join you over here in the U.S., right? Well, thank you so much for putting all this together on behalf of all of us. We couldn't have asked for a cooler event to be a part of. Like, come on, guys. Like, you got to give applause to Steffi. Like, this is so cool. We are at Las Vegas in the center of the track, racing on sims. It is just amazing. So congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for watching. We need every single viewer out there to have fun and tune in and support women in motorsport.
Thanks, guys. Keep following along. The final round is coming up, and we are very excited.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Steffi and Sabra. The great news is we're coming in closer and closer to the finale, but as you could see behind the interview is that we're still fixing some little tech issues, whether it's a car or a gaming rig. There's tech issues all the time now. And so before we jump into our grand finale for a chance to win $15,000 and more, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back.
name is Ariel Powers. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and I'm here to kick some butt in iRacing. Actually, I got involved by Steffi about a year and a half ago. She had an amazing tournament, sent us the rigs, which was crazy. We put them together and I fell in love then. We did an event with all females. We had someone from WWE, a couple soccer players, and then myself, and we all raced, and it was phenomenal. Actually, I have never ever been to a NASCAR race. I've watched it a little bit on TV, but never actually been at one in real life. It's louder than I thought it was gonna be, like really, really loud. To the point when I came out here, I was like, oh, I need some cancellation headphones or something. But it's been really, really cool to see the cars. From our rig, we can actually see the cars go, and they're super fast. It would mean a lot because I'm not gonna lie, the racers are a little intimidating out there. Like, they really know what they're doing. And for me, it would be as if someone came into a WNBA practice and really haven't practiced that much, That's how I feel in this atmosphere. Like, I'm like, I need to get some laps in. I think it's amazing to see how far Steffi has come, especially because I've known her from when she started everything. I know how hard it is to put events like this on, let alone get rigs, sponsorships. It takes a lot, not only the willpower, but the kind of person you have to be to put on something that's as amazing as this and see it succeed. I mean, it says a lot about her character and who she is. So it means a lot to me because she started it with like an all-females group that I was a part of, and I was just branching out, and it's only gonna keep growing.
Welcome back to the first edition of Screened to Speed, live from the racetrack in Vegas. I'm Miss Harvey. I'm joined with Jamie. How excited are you with this grand final happening very soon?
I feel like this is something that has just been building.
Yeah.
You know, we were ready. The competitors are all in their rigs right now, getting those practice laps in. Thank you for sticking with us through our technical difficulties. You know, we've got a lot of computers out here. We've got a lot of equipment, and we appreciate the patience.
Yeah, and we do have two really cool things for people at home to talk about. First off is Next Level Racing, one of our partner for this event, providing with all the rigs, $1,000 of rigs. Well, you can get one at home as well. You can pick and choose whatever you want.
Piece by piece.
Yeah,
build
piece
it
by
up
piece.
as you go. Yeah.
If you think that you can have a shot at these events like this, take a look at this. We have our QR code here.
Yep.
We have 5% off using the code S2S or by just scanning the code.
Yep. Get your phone out, scan it right there off your screen.
Just as easy as that. So thank you so much for Next Level Racing for providing us with the rig. And the second thing I want to talk about is another partner, Pennzoil. They are one of the main partner of this NASCAR event. It's their NASCAR race.
It is. It's the Pennzoil 400 taking place here tomorrow at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
And we are currently in the middle of that track. And we do have a little bit of a giveaway.
You know, if you've ever been to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, if you haven't, put it on Google Maps and you can get a sense of where we are. One of the things that is signature here is the Neon Garage. We are in the red garage, which is part of the Neon Garage atmosphere. It's just this is such a phenomenal place that they've put us for the Screen to Speed event. So Pennzoil, here we go. You're going to get a swag pack. Everybody who registered as an ally, their name went into this bucket at the beginning of the day, and with a chance to win a swag box. Comes with this t-shirt. You get the water bottle. You get stickers, all kinds of fun stuff. So our next box is going to Peter Kitch.
This is the final winner of the day. You're number 4. Thank you so much for being an ally of Screen to Speed. If you want to get involved, check it out at screentospeed.com because this is hopefully the first of many to come. But right now we are focusing on this grand final. Just like that, someone is going to go home with a crazy prize, ladies and gentlemen, a brand new rig, a $15,000 prize, cash money, and plenty more real life experience with Porsche and Kelly Moss's team. What else am I missing?
Well, Sabre Cook will be their test, their
their coach,
teacher, their coach. Yeah,
yeah, our very own Sabre, and here we have it on screen. Everything that the winner is gonna get. It's a winner take all, Jamie. So that means there's a lot on the rise. Even number 2 cannot go away. Cannot be satisfied with number 2.
Right.
I'm starting to learn.
Come on. This will be your third. I won't make you say it again.
Okay.
Third and final time. What is the line in motorsports?
The line is you're either first or last.
No, you're making it too nice. It's too nice. Come on. You've never seen Talladega Nights?
Oh, no.
Oh, goodness.
I'm the worst. I have no memory, guys.
Right.
This is difficult. So it's something about if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, well, that is the very nice way to say it.
Okay, so what's the not nice way again?
Well, first you need the accent.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
If you ain't first, you're last.
You're last, yes. That's why it is a winner takes all. That's the way motorsports goes.
The accent made me remember. I love it. If you ain't first, you're last.
Thank
okay.
You. All right.
So although everybody here is a winner because they already just to qualify to come here, you had a free trip to Vegas. We have a lot of Europeans that were flown in. A lot of people from everywhere.
Some
Canada.
had never been on an airplane. You get to fly all the way to Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Yes. So, I mean, everybody's a winner in a way, but there's going to be a winner take all.
But
and
I mean,
that's crazy.
It's such a big lesson, right? There was back in December, this event popped up on the radar for the first time. All you had to do was go to screentospeed.com, register yourself as a competitor, compete in the qualifying races. All of this was free.
Yeah.
All you had to do was take a chance on yourself and go out and race on iRacing. Qualify between December and February 12th, I believe, is when the qualifying
it's a
cut
long
off.
time.
It's a long time. You can get better and better each time. It wasn't like you got one shot at qualifying. You got to qualify all the way up until the very end, improve your time, Plus, you also earn engagement points. So as you became more involved, what some of these racers were able to do, they'd put it on their social media channels. They would engage the fans in the process. They would earn points for that. For every 100 likes they got, they were losing lap time just because of it. That's the way motorsports works. You have to get yourself out there to be able to take advantage of the opportunity out on the racetrack. And that was all part of this competition. It's just a beautiful project that Stephanie and Victoria were able to put together to get all of these racers here. And they did it. And now they have this opportunity to go home with what many of them have called a life-changing experience.
Yeah, and that's something that I didn't know before getting involved in this event is that, you know, motorsports, I used to watch Formula One like for years when I was younger. I did not know how do you get there, and it's much more complicated than what I know my experience in sports or in gaming. Motorsports is a very unique thing where you can get in from different areas.
You can.
Pretty much like, you know, investing a lot of money, but also your network, knowing people, and being one of the best is not just the only way to get in. And so the engagement points were real life kind of challenges. Even for the best racer, you know, they got beat up because in the end, I think it was Martina that finished first because of the engagement points. So it really mattered to get here.
Other real life sanctioning bodies have taken note of that. One of the series, an e-racing series, Formula E, they use what they call the fan boost, and so fans can vote. And actually, during the race, when they're out there on the racetrack, they hit the fan boost zone, and they're able to advance. They get a little bit more horsepower, and so it's great. I mean, it takes a little bit of the gaming world and puts it into the real life application, which we don't see a lot of. It's usually the other way around, but you know, it's so important to be able to engage with people and interact with people, and that's what that was all about, the engagement points.
Crazy. As a competitor, you have to deal with these kind of things, and it can get frustrating. There's nothing like more frustrating than thinking it was not fair, but that's what motorsport is about, right? Not a lot of things are fair, because you can get into a car crash and it was not your fault, but you're in it now, so you got to deal with it. And it's exactly what can happen today in this finale, because a lot of the drivers might not start into a good position, and they might have to fight for their life in here.
As we are still working through some technical difficulties. Again, thank you for your patience and staying with us. These, you know, we're all watching and waiting. Imagine what the 10 women sitting in the rigs are going through right now. They're on the brink of getting to race. They've got 20 laps. First, they still have to qualify for that race, but they're just sitting and trying and you know, building that anticipation and the adrenaline as we're watching our top 10 scroll across your screen right now.
We did see Elu Gobi. She won her heat by starting second on the grid, so she did beat Fitzpatrick to get there. And then we saw Leclerc, Bajent. Now we're at Emily Au. So we're just taking a look at a couple of things in their bio. But Emily Howe is actually an engineer, so that's really, really awesome to know. And Esmeralda van der Naald, who led almost all of her heat, finished second to qualifying for the grand final.
Garnett Collins, we heard more from her earlier on in her sit-down interview, and just the appreciation of this entire event.
And Christina Ryan, who's going to be our next driver, I want to talk about her because I do believe that she got into a little bit of a collision, and she had to come back to make it to this finale. So it was awesome to see her, as she is one of the fierce competitor in this competition.
She qualified further back than what I'm sure she would have wanted to. Put her into that mix going into turn 1 of lap 1 of the second heat race, and then had to fight her way back, but put her head down and she did it, and she qualified for the finale.
And then we have Olivia Hayward, one of our last competitor. And you know, they all have different kind of experience in e-competition, in e-motorsports. I'm sure this is going to become a name at some point, e-motorsports. I don't know if that's something that people already use. And they're all coming from different background, but today they're playing iRacing, and they have to compete with the same rig, the same car. And as we saw our last players, Gibson and Fitzpatrick, everybody seems to almost be ready. We see maybe Collins here doesn't have her headset, so maybe we're still trying to figure something out. But everybody else is getting some practice in.
And everybody is around Garnett's sim right now, trying to get that rig probably online with everybody else, make sure everybody has a fair shot. We can't, you know, everything has been done to the nines up to now, and there would be a shame to not have it all perfect. So we're going to take the time and we're going to wait and make sure everybody has the same shot.
One thing that's really cool, you take a look at these rigs right now, and this is, you know, this is a $15,000 one. And we mentioned how it can go to hundreds of $1,000s, but you can also build one at home for like less than $1,000. It's really a matter of like how much you want to invest. And that does mean in a realistic world, you can become a driver, real life competitor in driving by starting with sims, because you know of people who started in simulators and got picked up by real team and now are competing on real races across the world.
Yeah, that has happened. There's a couple of drivers that are in NASCAR who started in sim racing and proved during the pandemic in 2020 that they're able to compete. They've got racing knowledge. They have race craft. They have some technical ability. They're able to improve their car from race to race. That's not something that we have here because everybody's in the same equipment. There's no setting changes that were allowed tonight. But that's something that, as you know, as these racers, they would for sure be able to make changes to these cars. And teams take note of that. You know, we talked to Haley Deegan earlier, and they spend time on the Ford simulator she does with her Thor Sport teammates, and they're able to take that information and put it right into the truck. And in the real world application, Formula One has been doing that for the last long time. But all the manufacturers have these sims, and there's a lot that can be learned just from what they're doing right now with their experience level that would be beneficial in the real world racing application, even if they stay in the sim side of it.
I'm about to build myself
I bet you are.
sim. I'm going to leave this and go on these websites.
Take the QR code, though.
Take the QR code for next level racing and get my 5% off. But before we jump into the finale, we noticed how Collins was getting some technical issue. And we're going to take a look at her interview before all of this crazy madness happened and what she had to say.
My name is Garnet Collins. I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm here for Screen to Speed, and I'm here to just check things out. So, Screen to Speed is a really cool competition. I've been involved following it for months. I've been so excited telling everyone I know about this. It's just awesome. So many different kinds of women. You have queer women, women from all around the world, disabled women. It's for everyone. I think that's so cool. It's been great. I mean, meeting people, networking, improving my own skills, having a chance to, oh, this is going to be kind of vain, but having a chance to show off a little bit. The first game that I ever played that is not really a simulator would be Forza Horizon 5. I played it with my brother for years, and then one day I decided I wanted to try it with a wheel with some force feedback and see what it was like, and it went from the wheel to, oh, well, I have to do it in VR, and then that got to Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa led to iRacing, so yeah. I bought that wheel on April 16th of 2021, so not quite 2 years yet. So my goal this year is I want to be in a car. I want to be in a race car. I think that'd be awesome. It's one of those things where if I have the opportunity, I'll say yes. That's why I'm here. I saw an opportunity, I said yes to it, and here I am in Vegas. I give a big thank you to Dream Racing, Screen to Speed, Pennzoil, everybody that's involved, giving us this space to do our races, to learn, to get involved. It's awesome. So big thank you.
Reviews have been phenomenal. These, you know, we saw a couple of them mention how it can be, and it is life-changing experiences. And they're so grateful, and they just give me shiver every time we get to see them. This is the second time I see this one, and it still touches me like the first time.
And one of the things that I heard, thank you, that I heard that time around that I didn't pick up on the first was that she didn't get her steering wheel until 2021, April of 2021, and then been able to just focus on it, and obviously has a passion, and just embracing everything that's been around it, and finds herself here.
And eSIM Racing, what I've noticed from being involved in this event is that it's growing at a furious rate. It's catching up to gaming events, but also I think it's a demand from the actual real life team as well to pick it up. But not only that, it also opens the racing world to everyone.
Yeah.
Right? We saw an interview with Yvonne earlier, and she has been involved in creating this event since the beginning, a talent manager for all of these players. And she was mentioning how, you know, it's now even possible for disabled people to compete, for potentially people that don't have their license, that don't have the money, that live in different part of the world, that can't have access to cars and race. And that's what it is so cool about this event.
You mentioned Yvonne. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us, but has certainly been a part of this program from the very beginning. So we want to send her our well wishes. We know that she's watching for sure and rooting for one of the 10 to win. We're going to find out who it's going to be as soon as we get to the other side of the technical issues that we've been experiencing. But we have cars on the track. So this is the qualifier for our finale. First out is Alagobi.
Yeah, first out is Alagobi. As you can see, this is our top 10 that qualified a little bit earlier. And as we're getting more and more comfortable with this format, they do have the get out. How do you call it? That first lap that doesn't count?
The out lap.
The out lap.
Yes.
So they get out, they do the out lap, and then there's 4 laps in a row, and every one of these laps counts. They only have one shot, and then the best laps out of that is going to be their qualifying score for the grand final.
And take a look at Christina Ryan, who was in the second heat of competitors, did not start towards the front as we expected, and then ran into the trouble on the turn 1 of lap 1. So she knows how important a good qualifying effort is, because it puts you ahead of anything that can happen behind you.
Yeah, but nonetheless, she was able to come back, and so I can feel that she's one of the driver that adapts the best so far. From the very little data that we can see, she's kind of been killing it at, you know what, I got dealt the cards that I got dealt with. They were not the greatest, but I want to win this race.
Well, she was not up. I don't even think she was in the top half in the qualifying.
She was 6th.
She was 6th. Okay, so she qualified 6th, but then she won that practice race. So she was the one that figured out the traffic scenario, having all of the cars out on track together better than anybody else in that practice race. So she used that to her advantage to be able to qualify for this finale.
And and Alagobi are the two ones that seem to be impressing you the most, where they can adapt really well compared to their qualifying leaderboard score. You know, they had months to get that qualifying to as best as they could, and they were beaten by a couple of people with the engagement point, yes, but also with the speed. And today, they're doing really a great job when it's race time.
This is an important lap for Esmeralda Vandernald. At the bottom right now, 11 seconds behind our leader, and she led her heat until the very last lap. So a little bit behind right now in terms of overall speed, Esmeralda.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us once again, finally, the grid that you start from is so important, because unlike potentially traditional race tracks or race competition, you have maybe like 50, sometimes 60 laps to get and feel comfortable. But in this grand final, it's not going to be the case.
No.
We have about 20 laps.
There's Kelly Bajent. We were on board with qualified fourth right now, so on the second row of the finale, but pushed that limit, found the limit. Thankfully, it's during qualifying, not during the race, but spun, losing that lap, so also losing the opportunity to advance.
And in this top 10, you can see the score right now on the left of your screen. It is so tight, and that's what we're going to see in this race. We see the top 5 from both heats, so that's the cream of the crop, right? And that does mean that we have the 10 fastest, best driver, women and non-binary drivers in the world right now in iRacing, competing on land, live from Vegas for the first time. This is incredible.
We're just on board with Saoirse, and she said that she felt a lot more relaxed after getting that heat race done, but it was also a little overwhelming. So just needed to take a deep breath. Now it's go time.
Now it's go time, and here she is at the pole position right now. We still have some drivers trying to get their fastest lap. We are with Tina Leclerc. She's from Canada in Ontario.
In second right now.
She is in second, doing a little bit better than what she did in the first heat, or in the second heat, excuse me.
It's Garnett Collins in that number 22 that we're watching right now. Only just over 8/10 off of the pace, so not even a full second is separating our entire field right now, which during qualifying, all that means is they're super close in terms of speed. What it does not tell us is how well they're going to race each other. So when you know that they're that close in speed, they're going to be right on top of each other on the racetrack. So it's going to come down to maintaining focus, staying calm, not being too aggressive. You cannot win the race on the first lap. So this will be our starting grid for the finale.
So Fitzpatrick winning the pole position once again. She won it in heat number 2. She wins it again in the grand finale, followed next to Tina Leclerc, as we were mentioning, on seat number 2.
Yes, in our second row, Emily Howe and Christina Ryan. Much better qualifying for Christina Ryan. See if she can make anything with it, get to the front before the end of the 20 laps.
And we had Alugobi, and I think it was Callie, who were following. Alugobi probably is a little disappointed with that position, considering she got the second and then won that race. So it's going to be interesting to see if she can bounce back in the race.
But I think what we have now is a group of 10 women that any one of them can win. Nobody's at a disadvantage. We saw how close they were in terms of their overall speed. This is going to come down to who is the better racer.
Yeah, and Esmeralda, as you can see, one of the last competitor, she did lead most of our heat number 1. She won that pole position, and now, unfortunately for her, she's gonna start a little bit deeper on the grid. And we saw with E2 that could have been problematic for a couple of these drivers.
There's another saying in motorsports that doesn't matter how many laps you lead because only one of them counts. That's the last one. But she's learned from that. She now knows. She now knows that what it's like to be passed. How defensive you can be with this car on this racetrack. Those are all lessons that these racers have been able to practice and put into play over the practice races and practice sessions throughout the day. So now we get to see it all come to life.
Yeah, and as we're getting the drivers ready on the grid, we just saw our top 10. Okay, do you have some predictions before we start this?
You know what? I think we're going to see clarity from our racers, as a word that I'm going to use. We've had the technical difficulties. When we originally came back from break and we thought that it was go time, they did too. They had that adrenaline, they had that rush, and what we've had now is a chance to bring that down a little bit, to stay focused, to be calm, to rethink about what it is that's on the line. So I think we're going to have a really good race.
One thing that I was able to notice in both heats, and I don't know if it's specific to this Las Vegas track, it was that the top 3 really was able to get away from collisions, get away from any issues early in the race. Do you think that middle of the pack, it could get very dangerous for them in the first round, the first corner?
So the middle of the pack in any form of racing, whether it's iRacing or in real life, is never the place you want to be. A lot can go wrong in the middle of the pack. You've got the faster cars that are in front of you that you're trying to catch. Everybody around you is also trying to catch them. So there's a lot more aggression. But then you also have typically some more inexperience behind you, certainly not the same speed behind you. And you have the chance of getting caught up, in the middle. And so that's not the place that you typically want to be. But you can win from anywhere. And like I said, we have 10 women that are out there who they're in the same equipment. They've had the same chance to practice. They have the exact same setup on their cars. Any one of them can win.
And we do have a standing still start, which is something that these competitors are not used to. It's not something they do often, but it's real life. It does happen a lot. And so we saw 2 pretty clean starts, a little bit of hiccups in heats number 2, but it does still happen in real life with professional drivers who are paid to do that for a living. there's still hiccups in standing still starts.
Always, which is why it was a talking point in the drivers' meeting this morning. It was something that wanted to be addressed. A couple of the drivers even wanted to have a practice standing start, just so that they could do that in traffic. Like you said, it's not something that they're comfortable with. But they've all done it now because we've had the 2 heat races. So they have been able to practice that standing start, whether they were thinking about it or not. They were able to go through that motion with other cars around them when something was on the line. And that time it was getting to the finale. Now it's, the chance of $15,000.
And that does mean that sometimes, yes, it's good to be able to adapt, but it's also good to have friends who compete in a community so you can learn these things, gather together and kind of practice these things. So it's great to see a lot of these drivers today are part of teams. Some are not. And this is a brand new experience in esports to see these competitors, these drivers be part of teams. And some of those can be recruited. I'm telling you right now at home, some are, we call it free agents in gaming. And that's something that's not possible in motorsports, in traditional one, because you have to be part of the team to compete.
Right. You have to have a team to compete. There are a lot of instances where drivers who have the funding or the marketing power are able to start their own teams and find a spot for themselves. That happens quite a bit. But certainly, there is just a wide world of options here in the esports division of racing, and with iRacing. It's a world I knew nothing about until this event, the Screen to Speed event, came to fruition, and I dove in and started learning about it, and I'm fascinated by all of the opportunities that are out there. I have 2 kids, and my son, who's 8, loves playing video games.
He's about to get a new rig.
I can't even believe that the opportunity that's available out there in today's world, and it's exciting to think that the future, that there's a link that can be evolved. In motorsports, a few years ago, there was an issue that car manufacturers had, in that 50% of 16-year-olds in the United States weren't getting their driver's license. So what does that mean for racing? Well, it means that people aren't as interested in cars. But now we have this onset of esports and iRacing in particular, creating a platform where anybody can do it. And now we're closing that gap, and we're bringing a whole new audience into it.
What's your little boy's name?
Liam.
We're about to go to a break, and this is your shot to call your mom and ask for a brand new rig.
He better be sleeping.
We will be right back after this short break. We do have some tech issues. We want to make sure it's a fair race for everyone, and for that to happen, we're going to be right back after this break for this grand finale. Welcome back to the Screen to Speed event. Jamie, we have great news.
We do. Everyone is back at their rigs.
Everyone is back. The drivers, I got it right. The drivers are ready. We're ready. So as soon as the race starts, we're going to jump into it.
Yep.
But it does, we were speaking about how mental fortitude and being able to adapt is important. And during the break, all the drivers had to step out of their rigs and kind of walk around. So the nerves either kicked in or kicked out. And so now it's game time. It's focus time.
We talked about that adrenaline that was there, went away. I think it's all back now because they all had that moment to make their walk back in. They all sat back down at the same time after taking that little 5-minute break and breather. And now it's time to go and win $15,000.
Oh my God, when you put it that way, it is crazy. It is winner take all, people at home. We're playing for $15,000, but overall a grand prize of probably more than 50 grand. And then number 2 gets a gift card.
And a medal.
And a
Steffi
medal.
had very nice
And a
medals
medal.
made for our podium finishers.
Number 2 and 3, and this is
Yes.
going to all happen in the award ceremony right after the race, so you don't want to miss that. Award ceremony in racing is quite awesome.
We call it Victory Lane.
Ooh.
Yes, so we are going to have our very own Victory Lane here in the Neon Garage at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the very first time with our iRacing community.
We do have champagne. The girls are gonna, pop the bottles, right? Exactly like a real race.
Yes. Yep.
Is there always a champagne bottle for every event?
No.
No.
Not all forms of motorsports use the champagne.
Does NASCAR do?
Sometimes, but they also spray Gatorade. It depends.
It depends.
Yes.
I'm telling you, there's going to be people spreading something.
Yeah.
So you cannot miss that after we are done with this race. But I'm excited to be jumping into this grand finale because throughout the day we saw the stakes went higher and higher. The drivers were getting more comfortable. And it took, I want to say, overall, they had about maybe now 2 hours on the rig.
But they had to share that time because we did start the day off with 10 rigs and 19 competitors, so we had to share the rigs. So they had to split that time with each other. But everybody's been just so super respectful of one another and each other's time, and making sure that everybody got the practice that they needed or the practice that they wanted. And it's just been such a great experience all throughout the day.
Remember, they have been practicing thousands of hours. These top 10, probably thousands of hours, at least. I want to say that, okay? Hundreds at least, thousands for most of them, at home with their own rig, comfortable of their own seats, everything feeling the way that they like it.
The way that they built it, the way that they set it up.
And now they come here. They travel across the world for the first time, and they're not using their rigs.
Yep.
They have to use the same rigs. Everyone is on the same level. This could help some racer because this could be better rigs than they have at home, but it's still not your own rig.
Yep. Yeah, and it's something that they weren't comfortable with. They didn't have any experience with until earlier today. The original plan was that they were going to get some practice time yesterday, be able to think about it overnight, put it into play, and practice some more today. But, it just didn't work out that way. And so everybody's had to adapt and roll with it and just get up to speed as quickly as they can. If you're just joining us, we do have the finale that is coming on board. It's going to be 20 laps. We've already qualified for the finale, so we're just waiting for everything to reset. Everybody get out there onto the grid in the 10 starting positions. Everybody has the exact same Ford that they're competing with, the exact same settings. They did get to pick out their own liveries that they've been racing with all throughout the weekend, or all throughout the day, I should say. And that's really where the customization stopped for them.
Yeah, and some of them have gloves or special comfort level. Some of them are not wearing shoes, as you can see right now. We were in the eyes of Gobi. She does not have shoes, and that's important because we were talking to one of the driver, her name, I'm blanking out.
Haley. Haley Deegan.
And Haley even mentioned, even though she's a real race track driver, when she plays at home, she removes her shoes.
Yes.
She wants to feel the socks on the pedal.
Well, the racing shoe that racers compete with in real life it's very different than the shoe that you would wear, like a sneaker or anything. There's very little sole in it, and she can feel that when she's in her truck. She races in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series with Thor Sport behind the wheel of a Ford F-150, and she can feel that. So when she gets onto a rig, she needs that same input or output, and so she does it in socks, just like we've seen some of our competitors in today.
Yeah, and I feel that for me, I'm such a newbie, right? I feel that it's probably really comfortable, but no, like this is what people wear, and if they're not wearing socks only, some of them have shoes. Like I've heard that as small of the sole as possible is great.
Yep.
Like wearing just like Vans or something,
No, that's
like
something
skater shoes.
That's another thing that's come out of really since the pandemic, when sim racing became more prevalent, when people needed a hobby, they needed something to do at home. I mean, everybody loves going fast, right, and competing and racing, and that's really sim racing in the home front took off a lot more, and there are now sim shoes that you can buy that are specific to that small sole that the competitors are looking for.
There's a huge market that's going to happen. Yeah, we're going to see sponsors for gloves. We're going to see sponsors for eyewear. We're going to see sponsors for potentially, like you said, shoes and whatnot. And as we can see the drivers are warming up. If you want to get involved, remember, go to screen2speed.com. You're going to see how to be an ally, how to contact Steffi and Victoria, who are the queen of this event, that made this event happen, from Esports, as well as Kelly Moss racing team, and really potentially change I was about to say change the world, but definitely change diversity in motorsports, because this is bringing everybody to the same level.
It opened up who can be here. Yeah. It opened the doors to people who, in the interviews that we've heard, calling it a pipe dream to even have this opportunity. It really opened the doors for everybody. So we mentioned that the starting grid for the finale has been set. Here, let's take another look at it right now. On our front row, we have Shisha Fitzpatrick and Athena Leclerc.
Yeah, and then we have Emily Au as well as Christina Ryan. Christina is a winner of the only online race that happened between these competitors.
In row number 3, Alu Gobi and Callie Bajent, who won heat number 1.
It's actually heat number 2 and heat number 1 winner on that line.
Look at that.
That's really spicy. We have Esmeralda van der Noot as well as Garnet Collins. Esmeralda, as you were mentioning, was leading the whole time, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's the last lap that counts.
You only win when you take the checker flag.
Exactly, and then take the check home as well.
Yes, that's right. And then row number 5, Roxy Gibson and Olivia Hayward. Now, the other advantage of being at the back is you could take on the mindset of let everybody else go and then roll into it yourselves, see what's going to happen in front of you, drive around it. We've got 20 laps in the finale instead of 12 that we had in the 2 heat races, so we're going to see how it plays out right now, but it is finally almost go time.
There it is. We are live from that track, so we are playing this I want to say this game, but it's not. It's a simulation. We're playing iRacing live from Vegas in the actual Vegas track during a NASCAR event. It couldn't be such a better storyline, and as you're about to see the green flag happening
here,
on
the
revs,
right. The revs are up. Saoirse Fitzpatrick, our pole sitter.
And we're just waiting for the nerves to kicking and the pedal to be pushed.
Here we go. And we are green for our 20-lap finale of the Screen to Speed inaugural race. And again, look at that. They calmed down a little bit, almost took it for a ride. 2 instead. Who was that went off? Was that Saoirse?
We're going to need some replays. This is crazy.
Know.
There's a lot of drivers.
No, Saoirse Fitzpatrick did stay in the lead. That was Emily Howe behind.
And Gobi already, she was behind, fighting for the top 3 spots already. This is exciting.
Very quick work of getting herself up into the top 3. We saw that lead pack able to pull away in both of the heat races early on.
Yeah, and it's great to see right away. We see this a very competitive race. The spots are changing.
Callie Bajent and number 114 was our Heat 1 race winner, finds herself back in 7th right now. So needing to get up, we're only on lap 2. There's still plenty of time, and we saw how quickly things can change.
Ooh! Is that legal? Tell me
That
if that's
is.
legal.
I-
That's legal.
Listen, rubbing is racing, right?
At the nose of the car, pushing someone else.
You know what? We do have a race steward, and you can't.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
typically can't use another car as your braker. You know that, and that's what happened. Just super late on the brakes going into the corner. Unfortunately, took out
Yeah.
another competitor.
Before that incident, everybody was within at least 6 seconds of the pole position.
Yes.
But right now, we do have Collins and Bajan a little bit behind. They were caught in a collision, fortunately dragging them down to spot 9 and 10. Things are settling a little bit at the top with our the top 3
The
cars.
top 3 are settling, but really nobody else is.
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing some seconds are being
Right.
being caught, and let's take a look at this.
All right,
replay.
this is the
beginning of the
replay.
race. Ooh,
Yeah, I'm just not sure that there's anywhere that she could have gone there.
this is very, very tight. We're mentioning there's some seconds being eaten away by our top 3, kind of going in, but they're still very close. Any incident could change this whole race.
Well, Saoirse's been able to build up a little bit of a gap, almost 1.2 seconds now over Emily Howe in second place, but that's just, it's very marginal, and only 22 seconds are separating the entire field. So we're not in jeopardy of anybody going a lap down, which means we're not going to get any traffic at this point. Right now, the traffic that they have is just trying to make those advances for actual position.
We're in the eyes of Esmeralda. She is battling for 5th place as well as 4th place. Remember, winner takes it all. You cannot be happy of only making it to the podium. You want that Fitzpatrick spot. But to make it there, you have to slowly win one position at a time.
And Leclerc in front of Vandernald, you saw use a lot more of the curb than what Vandernald did. The thing that the drivers get to figure out themselves is which line it is they want to follow, and they're not following each other right now. So they're gaining their lap time in different places.
Yeah, this is iRacing. This is a simulation. You can see the dust on the track is getting really, really interesting. And we're going to see our number
Collins
22.
is going
Collins
into
is
the
doing
pits. Now, we do not have a garage time. So something must have happened to put her back there.
And we see
And
Gobi
Alugobi is out of the
yeah.
sim, no longer sitting at the rig. Scored right now in 9th. Garnett Collins is now advanced above her, even though sitting in the pit lane right now. So some of our competitors falling out. We have 8 that are still out on the racetrack.
Yeah, we don't know what happened with Gobi yet. We were not able to get it in our eyes, but we'll make sure to catch you up on it later.
But this is the gap right now. This is Emily Howe that we're on board with. That is Saoirse Fitzpatrick in front of her in the league. That's what 1.4 seconds looks like there at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway road course. So that's as close as they are right now. There's nothing that Emily can do to close that gap from this place, so she's not in a fighting position. So she's got to just keep her head down, follow her line, and just race her own race to be able to get up there and then be able to do something with it to make the advance.
And they're really eating time, like distancing themselves.
Yes.
1 second almost each lap. We're 6 laps in. They're 8 seconds in front of everybody else. So they're really racing this perfectly. So like you mentioned, it's just Emily and Fitzpatrick in their own head trying to make it to top 1.
Now we ride on board with Athena Leclerc. Oh, we're out watching her now. This is the number 61 Mustang, and in 3rd position, 8 seconds behind our race leader Fitzpatrick right now. But she's got a battle right behind her. She can't let up because 4th and 5th of Ryan and Vandernald are just right there.
Yeah, and this is where, my experience, I don't know if she's slowing down the pack, the second pack of this race, or if everybody's kind of at the same level. What do you think?
Well, we have a steward. I certainly don't think she's holding them up. She's not being defensive. There's a rule that you can zig or zag, but you can't zigzag. That would be considered blocking. But there's none of that that's going on right now. I think she's just running a better line, and she's able to stay out in front of them enough to not hold them up.
And who knows, you know, we have our top two a little bit ahead. 8 out of 20 laps. There's still 12 laps to mess it up.
We're almost at we're at the length right now of what our heat races were.
Yeah, exactly. And so if Fitzpatrick and O kind of fight it out and then get into next, and who knows, Leclerc might be the next in line to win the tournament.
That's right.
So she needs to really focus and make sure that she's still in this race in her little pack. Taking a look at Ryan here, trying to fight Leclerc's position. She's a little bit behind now. She was a little bit closer last lap.
Roxy Gibson is now 30 seconds back in the number 28 in 8th place. What that means is we're within 10 seconds of closing in and perhaps going a lap down. I guess probably closer to 15. But it's out there, and we're only not even halfway through yet.
And we do have confirmed that Alagobi is out of the race, so she's -4, but she's always going to keep increasing that difference because she's no longer in her sims. But Collins is still in. She's still in her sims, so she's going to be our first traffic.
Yeah. There was, she went a lap down. I wonder, because we don't see the same thing that the racers are seeing, and there is the iRacing, the built-in rule of penalties. 14, you have 14 chances, and then you have to do a drive-through. I wonder if that's perhaps why she found herself going into pit lane.
There are a lot of rules to potentially make sure that nobody's griefing, make it a little bit closer to if you were pushing someone in real life, the feeling that you would get.
Just had a slide. Alexander Ryan taking a little drift course.
Again, we're 10 laps midway, and we have our 2 leaders kind of flying away with potentially, I would say, number 1 and number 2, but we don't know what could happen.
No, but they've certainly opened the gap to the rest of the field. Now 7.8 seconds between between our first place and our third place competitor, but 6.5 seconds between second and third. So we have a good gap building. Does not mean that they are by any means in the safe zone. They still have to, not mess up themselves, because there is the human element of not getting over eager. What is the risk versus reward? We talked to Saber about earlier on. When do you take the chances and when do you make something that's going to stick? Right now, they have the advantage of not having anybody in front and not having anybody behind. So they can just kind of settle in and just hold on.
Potentially maybe Al, at 1.5 seconds behind. Do you think that she's saving her energy to fight Fitzpatrick, or she's really not able to catch up?
No,
to
because what happens, one of the things that's also simulated is the stint of a tire, and you have a sweet spot in racing, and you can use up your tires even in this. You saw the dirt and everything that's on the racetrack. It's abrasive, and you push too hard and you can flat spot them. You can't come and you can't change during the race. So there are a lot of things that they have to manage themselves, and she's certainly not, I don't think, being conservative right now. There's nothing to gain from staying in second. She needs to get herself up there and be able to have something to fight with.
That's really good insight. That's why you're the pro. That's why you're the pro. And we see that Ryan, she's the one that won the only race that these drivers were able to do, and she's being straggled by Van der Naald right now. We're in her eyes, and she might have won the online race, but it's always different when you're not in the comfort of your home.
And the people that didn't win, everybody else that was behind her, they learned from that. They didn't have the experience in traffic. Now they all have the same experience in actually racing and not just qualifying. And so they've all been able to better themselves because of it. I'm sure they've done practice races themselves, just not against these particular women. Maybe some of them, the teammates, have done races against each other. They all have their own levels of experience that they're bringing to the table. It's just about making the most of this particular race.
In the last 2 laps, Howe was able to eat away a couple of time to Fitzpatrick. It could be that Fitzpatrick, is just like being
See
conservative.
that red garage that was on the
That's
screen
where
right there?
we are.
That's where we are. That's where this event's taking place. I told you, look at Google Maps earlier, but there's a shot of it right there. So we are right in the middle of Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and where all of the action for the NASCAR weekend for the Pennzoil 400 is taking place. It gives you, that was a great shot to show just where we are in relation to the racetrack.
So Al was actually 1.2 seconds away, and all of a sudden she lost an extra second. And I feel that right now Fitzpatrick and Al are not having the same line like you mentioned. And sometimes she's able to get closer to the #1 spot, but sometimes it just she fades away. So it's very interesting to follow these stats.
In road racing, it's typically a whole bunch of different setups all racing against each other. That's not what we have today, because they all have the exact same car and the same setup underneath them. It's all in how they're managing it. It's their throttle points exiting the corner, their braking points going into the corner. It's the racing line that they're choosing. It's just the driving style of each racer that's showing the discrepancy in the times right now.
And as we are in our 6th to final lap to go, everything's stabilized a little bit.
Yep.
And we can see, we're taking a look at Saoirse right now, and we were taking a look from behind her and in front of her. So Emily and Saoirse are just like giving us a lot of attention. I'm excited right now.
Yeah, 1.2 seconds separates them. The other, closest battle out on the racetrack is between 4th and 5th with Alexander Ryan and Van der Nald right now. Also, it's very similar. 1.1 seconds separates the two of them. So those are the two closest battles that we have, but we still have 5 laps to go. Everybody's just kind of spaced out a little bit, so the likelihood of having contact with another car is minimal or minimized at this point. But there's the not pushing too hard yourself. We saw a lot of that in practice, drivers that were finding the limit and spinning or too late on the brakes and running wide and going off the course. Right now, everybody's just got to focus in and do these last 4 laps.
Ooh, Ryan and Van der Nald, they're so close. They're less than half a second away from each other. This is a really intense 4th and 5th place.
This is Emily Howe in 2nd that you're watching. She has closed that gap down to less than 1.1 seconds. So she's certainly pushing. She sees the clock. She knows what's on the line. She knows how much time is left. What does she have to lose at this point? She has everything to win. Fitzpatrick is the one on defense right now with everything to lose.
And she's she's 6 seconds away from Leclerc, so she can't afford to do a little bit of a mistake. Probably not a big one, but definitely if she tries something and loses a couple seconds, the worst that she can do is stay in 2nd position.
We learned about Emily during one of the interviews from earlier today. She's a civil engineer, and she's meticulous. You think she hasn't calculated where she can get better, what she can do. She certainly has been able to close the gap as the race has gone on. So I think she's analyzing all of these situations around her.
Yeah, and iRacing, esports, a lot of it is mental. Yes, it's physical endurance, static endurance, I call it, but probably 90% of it is how can you handle a full race, a full tournament, a full competition. We've been here for hours at the racetrack, and these 3 laps to go are getting closer and closer between Fitzpatrick and Al. It could be fatigue, it could be the nurse kicking, it could be so many things.
This is that battle for the lead is on top. The battle for 4th is the other one that we were talking about between Ryan and Van der Nald, and that battle is closing down as well. 6 seconds that separate the two of them right now. So that's the other one. Top 3 get a medal, right?
Yeah,
You're not going home empty-handed.
I want that medal. I want that medal.
So you got to get around 4th to be able to get up to 3rd.
Yeah. And we have 2 laps to go as we're watching 2 similar race in this competition. Fitzpatrick in the lead, getting trailed by Howe, closer and closer, and we have race for 4th. There's going to be a little bit of a touch here as cars as cars are sliding. This is a crazy end of this game.
You think Esmeralda wants it? You think she wants that position?
Absolutely. It makes all the difference when there's very little tournaments in the world. And take a look at the gap for 1st place.
And our leaders are now on the final lap, down to just over half a second. It is 0.7 seconds to separate the two of them. This is the last shot.
Last shot for Emily to be able to beat Saoirse. Remember, winner takes it all. These drivers right now, they know this. They are giving everything they can. Fitzpatrick has everything to lose. Everybody else has everything to win.
This is the point where she can't be aggressive. She's got to be defensive. She's got to be smart. She doesn't want to throw it away on her own. So this is the final lap. All she has to do is what she's done the entire race, starting up front, coming to the checkered flag right now. We're about to give away $15,000, a test in a race car with Kelly Moss Racing, and it's going
and
right
there we
down.
have it.
Saoirse Fitzpatrick is our winner.
Saoirse Fitzpatrick is our first screen to speed winner. Everybody is clapping in the studio, in the Dream Racing offices right here live at the track. You can see she is
look at that.
gathering this moment. She can't believe this has just happened. Our racer swag just won our first event.
Yes. You see, she puts her face in her hand, and just the opportunity to even be able to come over here and compete in this, but now to be able to come back and actually get behind the wheel of a real race car and see a dream come to fruition, that's really special.
You have your final standing for this straight. A lot of very interesting countries at the top 5. Four different countries in the top 5. Let's just take this moment in. Saoirse here, our first winner of Screen to Speed.
I bet the game doesn't allow donuts. We would see donuts from the winner in real life, but she's just collecting her thoughts in these moments right now. I'm a little bit jealous of Sabre. She gets to do this interview, and it's always one of my favorite moments after a race is getting to feel. You can feel the emotion of a winner, and she's going to get to experience that as a commentator for the first time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that does mean that 9 other drivers will not be winners today. And I learned something: if you ain't first, you're last. Is that it?
Well, your accent was a little off. The phrasing was right, but yes.
Okay, so
it was a winners take all.
Okay,
yeah.
it's a winner takes all, not only metaphorically, but also actually for real. We will have a ceremony. We are very excited to be able to give these medals.
I am seeing some body language say that she is doing donuts. Is that right?
She is.
That's fantastic.
In the game.
Yes.
Bringing the action. There we have it.
I see the smoke on her screen. Look at that.
There we have it.
Yes.
This is incredible. She's feeling in that moment.
In the NASCAR world, we'd call this the burnout interview. So Sabre gets to go in and do the burnout interview with our race winner, Saoirse Fitzpatrick. Look at that sigh of relief.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible. These competitors, a couple of days ago, were home, not feeling the fact that they competed, they qualified, they flew to Vegas, and really just won this event for her. Like, it's life-changing. We talked about this.
It is life-changing. Yep.
And as we're taking a look at the replays, what happened throughout this race? What were the key moments you think that really made Fitzpatrick able to go to the top?
I think the fact that she had the clean racetrack in front of her certainly was a huge advantage. Didn't have to deal with anything happening behind her. But she was also able to just focus. That was one of the things that all of our professionals talked about today was just focusing. And you can't control everything around you, but you can control yourself and you can control your own situation, and she did that beautifully.
Yeah, and one thing that we were not able to see during this race is how Aligobi got knocked out, and she was in the trio at first. So that could have been a key moment in this race, knowing what happened with her, and that did allow our duo of Emily and Saoirse like kind of make it to the final together, holding hands, and Emily never really able to get into a fight with Saoirse. That's how much Fitzpatrick, played a clean and great game.
And you can hear that round of applause that's coming through our microphone. Those are the applause of the competitors.
Yeah.
How cool is that? I mean, we talked about the respect that's been shown amongst all of the racers throughout this entire experience, and just that joy and being able to share it with your fellow racers. That's really special for Saoirse and for everybody here that's been involved in it.
It is quite a moment that even I am like struggling to take in. So I can't imagine what she's going through, what everybody is going through, because we do have a podium, we do have some medals to be giving to number 2 and 3. So Leclerc and Emily Au are also gonna win a medal, and they're also gonna be part of the ceremony, and it matters in a way.
It does.
You know. Then in sports, I think it's the 4th position that really is awful because you're not on the podium. Is it like that in motorsport as well?
Yes, absolutely. But when you take this particular event, the inaugural event for Screen to Speed, and just the entire program, everything that's gone into getting everybody here. I mean, an all expense paid trip to come here, just the experience in general, they're all taking something away, something different for each one of them. I'm sure the lessons that they've learned, things about themselves, things about the community, about racing. They're going to get to stay and go to the Pennzoil 400 tomorrow. So the experience isn't over yet. This is a really big package of prizes and opportunity that they're all getting.
Yeah, and as you can take a look, everybody's congratulating
the hugs,
her.
look at that.
Yeah. Saoirse is part of a team. She's part of Prismatic Motorsport. She's from Ireland. She does know a lot of these competitors from a previous time in the community, and that does mean that, joining that community is possible for everyone at home.
That's right.
A lot of these racers started less than 2 years ago.
That's incredible to me. Yep.
And they were here today competing for an incredible prize with real people like you who are doing this in real life in motorsports, and it's just an incredible feeling that they're probably having right now. It's kind of unbelievable.
Well, I think just the entire motorsports community, the fact that Ford came on board to sponsor this program, Pennzoil certainly wouldn't be possible without any of these big names, but just the support of the entire motorsports community, the racers that we had stop by today, all of the special guests that we've had. There were students here from universities in the area, and just I think the legitimacy that it gives to them, that what they're doing matters, who they are matters, and just opening their eyes to a whole nother world.
Yeah, and you've been waiting for it. It is now the time for the awards ceremony, and we're going to be taking a look at our top 3, our podium, and let's see. We're going to have 3 people really important for this event, kind of give away the medals and give the check and everything. So let's start with our number 3. Let's take a look. I do believe we have Victoria getting ready here. Victoria is the owner and CFO of
Kelly Moss
Kelly
Racing.
Moss.
Yes.
I was giving her thumbs up so that she can give away, and here we have it. We have Tina Leclerc from Canada, Ontario, winning a number 3.
And we have Steffi awarding Emily Howe the medal for 2nd place. She gave it a good fight, didn't she? She was there the whole time. But look at this, the medal for Saoirse Fitzpatrick being awarded. Ooh. Oh, look at that trophy, the steering wheel, by Sabra Cook. Now this is a new relationship that we're watching right now. Sabra Cook passing off $15,000 to Saoirse Fitzpatrick.
There we have it. Our first winner, Saoirse Fitzpatrick, in first place, Emily Au in 2nd, and Tina Leclerc in 3rd, going home with the pride, with for some of them gift cards, but for Fitzpatrick, a crazy price. Let's just
$15,000.
talk about it again. $15,000, a brand new rig at home that we're gonna send her. I say we, like I was involved in it.
I'm glad that it is at this point a giant check that turns into cash money, because we are in Las Vegas. What could you do with $15,000 cash leaving to go back to this trip tonight, right?
I mean, I hope she doesn't burn everything on this trip after
certainly
burning on the race.
So much to celebrate.
She will be coached by Sabra. She will get to compete, or not compete, she will get to race with Kelly Moss's team, with a Porsche, and plenty more. And I'm going to stop talking because we're ready to talk to her. Sabra, take it away.
Hi everyone, I am with Saoirse Fitzpatrick, and she did the unthinkable. She won it all. How are you feeling?
Still honestly in shock. I think I'm probably going to go back to the hotel at some stage and just cry from joy, because it's, oh my God, it's just huge. It's so huge.
Do you think that you would do anything different, though, during the race? Do you think there's something you could take away and learn from?
I think maybe just push a little bit harder, because like if Emily had a couple more laps, she definitely would have caught up to me. I just like was so scared to keep pushing, just because I was like in front and I had a healthy-ish gap, and I just wanted to maintain it, just maintain it as best as I could, and not let her catch me. And like it kind of sunk in a little too much. Just I wasn't really pushing hard enough to like get there.
I mean, it's hard when you've got all that pressure on you, right? I could hear, giving those big exhales, like trying to, calm yourself and keep you in zone. And you were still pulling out really consistent lap times, so you should be super proud of yourself. I got to ask, though, do you think the mullet makes you faster? Because, I mean, Connor Daly and Botas right now, like, they're rocking it, and they're doing pretty good. So what do you think?
Maybe. The power of the mullet is strong, though I think it's like the lack of hair on the sides, it makes me more aerodynamic.
100%. It's like at least 2/10, right? 1%? I think so. Yeah. Well, congratulations again. Do you want to thank anybody today?
Yeah, I want to thank Pennzoil and Innit Esports and all of the sponsors like Yahoo and Recaro and Next Level for putting this on and like really just putting in the work to get this to happen, to showcase female motorsports talent in the sim racing world, as well as thank my team, Prismatic Motorsports, for all of their support and their kindness and friendship behind me, as well as my family, my friends, my partner, all for being just so supportive and cheering me on the whole way.
You did it. Yeah. You did it. Are you ready to go race in real life now? Give it a try on the real thing?
Yeah. I kind of half forgot that was part of the prize.
Well, it is part of the prize, and it is going to happen, and I'm very excited for it. We're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Well, congratulations again, Saoirse. Very job well done. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Back to you guys at the desk, and a big round of applause for Saoirse again.
What a great interview. I got emotional. I was about to tear.
I love that she forgot that she gets to actually get behind the wheel of a real race car. How amazing is that?
Oh, yeah.
It tells you about the adrenaline that's been involved in this entire experience, right?
What a moment. I mean, this all could not have happened without so many partners, so many people giving their time for free. Yeah. A lot of this is really just donated time, donated effort from our partners, our supporting Steffi, Victoria, all of the drivers, Yvonne at home. We also have Sophie here, our head, how do you call it, steward?
Our steward.
I'm going to get used to these words. And everybody, I'm going to name them all real quick. I think it's super important to mention them. So from Pennzoil, like we mentioned, Ford Performance, Esports, Kelly Moss, Yahoo Built by Girls, Fanatec, EK, Fluid Gaming, Next Level Racing, Ricario, and iRacing. Not happening without you guys.
It's been wonderful to work with you. I have loved my introduction to esports. I'm glad that it was in a genre that I'm more familiar with, but I just had no idea how open this world was, and I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to be here with you today.
Again, if you want to get involved, remember, go to screen2speed.com. You might be a driver, you might be a partner, you might be an ally. We are looking for you to get involved today and make motorsports a better and diverse space. Jamie, it was a pleasure.
How about our production team too?
Oh yeah,
I mean, we went long. We had technical difficulties. Everything that could be thrown at us was thrown at us, but everybody rallied together, and it's just everyone's just been great to work with. So round of applause for all involved.
Strategy, production, our producer in our ears, and everybody else that didn't sleep last night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of everyone behind the scene, this was Stephanie Arabi and Jamie. Have a great night, everyone. Congratulations, Fitzpatrick.